If we can get seated, those that have seating, I know everyone doesn't. If we can just quiet down, we'll start and we'll move through the testimony. We'll call people basically in the order that these sheets are given to me. If you've indicated you want to talk, we've highlighted it in yellow. We're going to go through all these sheets, and then at the end, we'll ask if there are other people that wish to speak, and they will be given an opportunity. We're asking everyone to limit their remarks to 2 minutes. We have a lot of people who want to give us testimony today. Frankly, if several people have already said what you want to say, it would be helpful time-wise to move through the group to say, I agree with the people who are supporting X or who want X to happen. Thank you all very much, and I'll turn it over now to Mayor Lucas.
Here you go, Councilwoman. Check with these.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Or I'll just shout. I don't even know if I'm on. Thank you for coming to today's budget hearing. We have lots of people here to speak, and so we will try to get through you expeditiously. We hope you keep your comments to 2 minutes per. And my colleague, Councilwoman Shields, who's the chair of our Finance, Governance, and Public Safety Committee, will keep us running throughout. To get you started on a number of things, we wanted to introduce Scott Husengay, who is our budget director here in Kansas City, Missouri, to talk to you about the process of how we get to a budget, some of the top-level notes that we have in connection with it, and then, frankly, to give you a guide on what the process is after this hearing. As you've probably all read, the budget right now is only a submitted budget, so there is still opportunity for change. So we thank you for your comments, we thank you for your civility, and we thank you for taking time out on a beautiful Saturday morning to be a part of Kansas City government. So with that, I'll introduce Mr. Husengay, and after that, Councilwoman Shields will start calling you all up to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Lucas. Again, my name is Scott Husengay, Budget Director for the city. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today, this overflow crowd. We're going to do things just a little bit differently because of the crowd here, but as the mayor said, I'll give you just a few highlights, and then we will turn it all over to you to give your comment, and we'll take the process from there. So my job is to give you a budget overview, so that's what I'll do right now, just getting started. Many of you have probably seen the overall budget for the city of Kansas City, Missouri, as submitted for fiscal year 2020-2021 is about $1.7 billion in total. That's about the same as it was last year. And the largest proposed increase in the budget is for public safety, which is the highest priority as adopted in the city's strategic plan, increase of $16.8 million. There is also a proposal in the budget, as many I'm sure have read, to kickstart the zero fare transit program in the city, which would provide free bus service citywide. And the budget increases street maintenance and street preservation to get some of the deferred maintenance issues we have in our infrastructure, specifically our streets. Some of the other program highlights include $500,000 for mental health initiatives, and the budget also includes operations for the Convention Center Hotel, which starts in April of this year. The capital improvements program, again, speaking of infrastructure, it's a 5-year plan as proposed in the city budget from all sorts of funding sources, including a 1% sales tax, street maintenance funds, water services funds. In total citywide, it's a $1.2 billion plan in the CIP over the next 5 years, inclusive of city operational money, as well as the Go KC bond program that voters approved about 4 years ago now. The budget includes additional police officers in the plan, 10 new officers, along with additional social workers at each of the patrol stations and equipment upgrades for the police department as well. The budget also includes 15 new firefighters that would backfill a recently closed fire station in the Northland, and that matches a federal grant that the City Council approved here about 3 months ago. The budget does not include new equipment for the fire department as requested by the department. There will be a sales tax election in April, a special election that voters will get an opportunity to support the fire department with a new sales tax that would support fire department operations, including new equipment both for their fleets as well as their personal protective gear. The council received the city budget on February 13th, so just over 2 weeks ago now. We have several meetings both in the public like today and at the city council level leading up to when the budget will be adopted on March 26th. The fourth Thursday in March is when the city council will consider the final amended budget for approval. This is the second of 3 neighborhood hearings. We held one last week in the Northland. We have one today, and there will be one more opportunity for the public to engage in this venue on this coming Tuesday at 11:30 at the Kansas City Health Department at 2400 Troost. So your attendance today is a vital part of the process. We thank you for coming and packing the house today for this session. And we have opportunities, again, like I mentioned on Tuesday, we also have opportunities for you to engage online. If you go to our website at kcmo.gov/budget, there are opportunities for you to view the budget, both the document itself. We have an online activity where you can called Open Budget, where you can click to specific items or departments if you want to see specific items within the budget. And we also have a budget simulator called Balancing Act, in which you can actually go through the budget, choose from a variety of policy choices, and actually reconfigure and submit the budget as you would like to see it to the council, and we will report the results of all of those submittals to the council towards the end of our process. We've already received over 80 responses to our budget simulator so far, so please add your voice to the mix as well. So you can always find more information about the budget process and everything about the city at the city's main website at kcmo.gov or on the various social media handles at KCMO. You can also subscribe for regular updates on that site as well, and we'll continue to update both the main site and our kcmo.gov/budget site for updates on the city budget process. So with that, Mr. Mayor, council members, I'll turn it back over to you, and we'll begin with the public comments. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Catherine Shields. I'm the at-large representative from the 4th District and also chair of the Finance Committee. Before we begin testimony, I'd just like, starting on my right, at the far right with Councilwoman Hall, for people to just, our council colleagues to introduce themselves, and then we'll begin testimony.
Good morning. My name is Heather Hall, 1st District Councilperson. Sorry I was late, but I walked about 2,000 steps just to get here, so we already got our exercise in for the community center. So good morning. Thank you for joining us.
I'm Kevin O'Neill, 1st District at large. Thanks to everybody for coming.
Good morning, I'm Dan Fowler, 2nd District in District.
Good morning, I'm Teresa Lohr, 2nd District at large.
Eric Bunch, 4th District in District.
Brandon Ellington, 3rd District at large.
Melissa, if you want. Skip back and just.
Good morning, everyone. Melissa Robinson, 3rd District.
Quinn Lucas, Mayor.
Good morning, my 5th District. Thank you for coming out today. We want to hear your voices.
That's hard to follow. I'm Kevin McManus, Mayor Pro Tem representing the 6th District. Welcome to South Kansas City, everyone.
Ernest Rouse, Acting City Manager. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
All right, I'm going to list off 3 names, and so you'll be ready. These are the first 3 speakers. If Nancy Simons would come forward, then Ron Clark, and then Aaron.
I'm giving a visual aid first, so you can see this and know what I'm talking about.
Okay, if you would see the marks, remember, please identify yourself. If I'm not going to ask you to give your address because it's written here on the sheet, and I know people were very nervous about giving their addresses, so I won't ask you to do that as long as I have an address on the sheet. If you haven't given an address on the sheet, then I am going to ask you to identify your address. You might tell us what district you're in just so people generally know, and remember, please keep comments to 2 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Nancy Simons. I'm from the 3rd District, the Blue Valley Neighborhood Association on the east side of Kansas City. I'm here today to talk about violence. I have worked with kids for over 25 years. We have traveled all over the United States for basketball, baseball, drill teams. Over those years, I've went to too many young men's funerals. I held one young man, a dying young man in my arms. It changes you. Over the years, I have worked with Delalam, KC Police Athletic League, and many others. One person can change a child's life. I've had up to 8 young men stay in my home to get on their feet. I didn't have room for one. I asked a Kansas City police officer if he would take him. He was reluctant, but he did it. He became an All-American football player, full ride to college, and now works for Sprint. Marquil, oops, I'm a little nervous. And some other young men that worked for Aim for Peace went with me out in the neighborhood to the Blue Valley courts. They worked with hundreds of kids in the area. In 25 years, murders are still happening. So we need to figure out a solution. If you can help one person, you can save a life. I would like to thank the 3rd District people for really stepping up and helping the people in our area. With trash, I like to, the Kansas City, the parks, you know, the solid waste, and I am really here to get help with the youth. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Ron Clark.
My name is Ron, and I'm a resident of the 3rd District and also a leader with KC Tenants. I am known to talk a lot about hope in our meetings, but today I'm going to talk about faith. I bet everyone in this room has faith in the city and its potential to become more than it is today. More than a few nice apartments in a streetcar, more than a struggling school system, more than a crime ward, more than another place where people live with the certainty that a young death is a given and that fear and isolation are just a way of life. It's serious, and there's really never enough to go around. We can't fund our pension because we're broke. We can't fix our roads because we're broke. Can't protect folks from homelessness because we're broke. I know sometimes the mayor don't like to be quoted, but to paraphrase what he said on Northeast News, we continue to have a city that is driven by the dollar. There's $1 billion worth of economic activity and infrastructure that is meant to serve poor people in our city, yet none of our policy seems to reflect it. I know for a fact that one thing that would drive home that point even further would be that after months of working with our government to enact a common sense housing protections, our city would turn around and on its first chance to show good faith, throw the enforcement mechanism for those policies out the window. Or in a similar vein, when we resolve to cover the cost of transportation for our poorest citizens and then say, well, that's just not enough, there's just not enough money there. These dichotomies we are presented with have never been real. If we can drop bundles on a hotel or on an office building or cops, why is addressing housing for our folks even an issue? When 48% of us rent, when people are sleeping under our bridges and in our parks, how is this even seen as nothing but the bare minimum? And if we never intended on doing much about it, then why did we play like we did in the first place? Why did we play like we wanted to address this issue? A year from now, I pray that we're assessing the impact that enactment of this program has had on the lives of our citizens. It's too late to start later, but we still have today. Thank you for your time, and please fund this office.
Thank you. Okay. Folks, we're cutting into time. I appreciate now Aaron Zimmerman, and after Aaron, it'll be Beth Borger, and then Kenneth Mosley.
All right. Hi, I'm Erin Zimmerman, District 2. I am here today as a proud Kansas City entrepreneur, filmmaker, and president of the all-volunteer nonprofit Kansas City Women in Film and Television. We work to bring equality to our production industry, and we work closely with the Film Office and other production organizations on this mission. If you have been affected by KC Film or the Film Incentive, could you please raise your hand or stand? Ow! Yes. Okay. I had a personal testimony ready, and then the budget amendments were released, and so that's what I want to address. I think I can speak on behalf of our entire film community when I say yesterday's released budget amendments by the mayor's office looked positive. We are happy you're reconsidering your support for our film industry, but I've got a couple of clarifying questions, and I'll keep asking clarifying questions. If the KC Film Office receives $200,000 from Visit KC appropriation, then it appears the mayor is asking the office to pay itself because KC Film is a division of Visit KC. It also ends the incentive program as we know it. The current program is a city ordinance passed unanimously in 2016, whose budget line item has been within the city. Our materials, brochure, and industry ads promoting the incentive will suddenly be out of date. Can we save the program in the city? And if so, with the OSSC cut, the Office, not OSSC, the Office of Culture and Creative Services cut, who can administer it at the city? Because that's our city partner. We look forward to your thoughtful responses. Thank you for your time and attention, and please keep Casey filming.
Okay, Beth Bozier.
Good morning, I'm Beth Berger, and I'm here as a resident of Kansas City in Ruskin Heights. I'm also representing Ruskin Village, Ruskin Hills, and Kirkside. They are all neighborhoods in Kansas City, believe it or not. Okay, the budget is proposing to cut our pool out, our extra things at the pool, to only Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We need our full pool facilities open 7 days a week in the summer, from the time it gets hot to the time it gets cold. Our kids need something to do in the summer, and our teens need jobs. It's twofold. Our neighborhood needs this. You gave us this pool, and you need to support it. The other thing I want you to do is support the KC Tenants. Our neighborhoods are over 50% rental properties. I've been a homeowner since 1973. I want the opportunity to work with KC Tenants in my neighborhood to improve the living conditions in my neighborhood. I want the homeowners and the tenants to work together. We have tried calling 311 on the landlords to try to get the houses fixed and the trees trimmed and the driveways repaired. It has done no good. We need the help of KC Tenants. We all need to work together. They will work with the homes associations, and I want the homes associations to work with the tenants. And by doing that, we can improve the conditions in our neighborhood and reduce crime.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kenneth Mosley. I'm from the 40 block, 4030 Brooklyn, and I'm here to talk about zero fare for our international rates we should have for our transportation to go along with our international team and our international airport. So I'm here to talk about it. I'm going to do a quick mic check. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to answer zero for me. How much should we have to pay to have increased access for livability, jobs, and education? How much should we have to pay to have safe travel through the weather and to get to community services? How much should we have to pay to have Wi-Fi access and time for reading and accessibility for elders, disabled, and students? So let's make sure that's in our budget. Let's make sure zero's in our budget. Let's get this 4.8 million, and next year let's get 8 million for zero fare for Kansas City.
Hey. Next person is John Simpson, and after him, Arnita Winder. So John, if you would come up.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. I'm John Simpson, and I'm representing today the St. Mary's Episcopal Church Social Justice Ministry.
Could you speak up a little, John?
I'm John Simpson, and I'll back up a tiny bit. I'm a resident of the 6th District of our city. I'm here to represent the Social Justice Ministry program of St. Mary's Episcopal Church that is at 13th and Holmes in our city. First, I thank and commend the council and the mayor for having these 3 hearings. You see how much interest there is. We really appreciate that, and the members of our ministry also appreciate it. I'd like to have the members of our ministry who are here stand up today, and included in that is Father Charles Everson, who is the rector at our church.
Every time you look away, nobody can hear what you're saying.
All right, I've introduced the group that's from our church that's here. Father Everson is here, and he's the rector at our church. Under the leadership of Father Everson, St. Mary's organized the Social Justice Ministry in 2019. This was done for 2 reasons: to promote social justice and to get the congregation and the clergy of St. Mary's involved in our community. St. Mary's decided it must enter the political fray and make an effort to publicize and help to end the racism, failed criminal justice system, poor public transportation, and inadequate and unaffordable housing that are a sad fact of life for too many of our citizens. These are gross and unconscionable injustices. For too long, previous councils kicked them under the rug or down the street or offered merely Band-Aid solutions. Further delay is not acceptable. While the list of failures of Kansas City is long, St. Mary's emphasizes 3 parts of the budget that only nibble at the edge and beg for more.
I think your time is ended. Are there?
Let me state the first of the 3 things. First, the provisions of the budget are not adequate to fund bus fares, free
Okay.
bus fares.
All right,
Second,
thank
to
you.
improve the inadequate housing, a low-income tenant must have free legal
Okay,
services when
so
the landlord
you're for
seeks to
zero
evince the
fare,
ticket.
You're for tenants' rights, and do you have a third point? you
I
wanted to
have
say?
a third one, and to pay, the third one is to return local control of our police
Okay,
department
thank you.
to the city. Thank you very much.
Okay. And then Arnita Winder.
I agree with almost everything that's been said here already. One of my problems is with trash. You need to do away with the 2-bag limit. I'm a single person. Most of the time I have 1 bag. Some weeks I don't even have a bag, so I hold it over till the next week. So why can't somebody else have more bags? When you have a limit of 2, they put out 3 or 4, they pick up 2, the other stay there till the next week. Or else they pick it up and throw it out illegally someplace. Your bag limit just increases the problem of throwing their trash someplace else. You just need to do it. And also the pool, I agree with the lady about the pool. You need to keep the bay open 7 days a week. There has to be a way to solve this problem. That's about all I have to say, but I agree with everybody that's here.
All right. The next person is, I only have the name Gillespie. I don't know if that's like Beyonce or. After Gillespie is Michael Kelly and then John Sharp. So please be ready to speak.
I see now. Good morning, people. My name is Gillespie. I am a member of KC Tenants and a member of the strategy team. I am here to concern the 2 biggest issues in our life. That's housing and transportation. I live in unsuitable living conditions, which causes me to deal with unlivable conditions according to my health. And for me to have to get out there and have to pay to ride the bus, when you give money to dogs who have personal endowments, you give money to the arts, which receives millions of people from their millionaire friends. You go deny me a 75-cent bus ride. I got a lesson for you people today. Choose this day whom you will serve, because no man can serve 2 masters. My God tells me you either hot or cold or lukewarm, because if you're lukewarm, I will spew you out of my mouth. If you can't put yourself in situations according to people's spiritual being, their physical being, their emotional being, their financial situations, then why are we here?
Thank you. Then Michael Kelly and then John Sharp.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf, my name is Michael Kelly, and I am a resident of the 5th District. Hi, council members. So on behalf of Bike Walk KC, I'm happy to speak this morning for the need for sustained funding for multimodal transportation priorities in this year's budget. Supporting key efforts such as zero-fare transit is an imperative means of supporting so many of the other important issues our city has to address. More specifically, multimodal transportation can help to create healthier neighborhoods. LifeX data from the city tells us that residents are not able to engage in enough regular physical activity. Building walkable communities with access to good transit allows people to move more in a way that benefits their health. Further, it supports affordable housing. Housing and transportation are inextricably tied because of the burden transportation costs can place on households. Enabling people to walk, bike or take the bus means they don't have to spend money on a car, allowing them to spend more money on housing and other important necessities such as the Office of Tenant Advocates. Ultimately, it creates a more sustainable city. Transportation was the only sector of our greenhouse gas inventory that grew substantially over the last few years. We have to do more to cut into these numbers, and cleaner forms of transportation, such as walking, biking, and transit, are a key way of accomplishing that goal. It is not lost on me where I deliver these words. The residents of the 5th District are acutely familiar with all of these issues, and if we do not support multimodal transportation opportunities for the whole of the city, it will be people in neighborhoods like mine that will suffer the most. Please, continue to fund multimodal transportation endeavors in the new budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Sharp.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm John Sharp, resident of the 6th District. I'm here today to speak on behalf of the South Kansas City Alliance. I'm board president of the Alliance, and I'm also speaking for the Southern Communities Coalition. Those are our two major umbrella groups in southeast Kansas City. And I'm here to beg you, really, to restore funding so we can keep the Bay Water Park open 7 days a week. Having the budget proposes to save $130,000 by closing the major attractions at that water park 4 days a week. So the lazy river that old folks like us use to get our exercise, the slides, the surf simulator, all the major attractions that are what bring people to the park would be closed Monday through Thursday and only open Friday through Sunday. And they're proposing to have a fence so people can't use them during the week. That's just nuts. And that's the only major attraction our young people and people of my age have out there in Hickman Mills. And we're willing to help the department promote this and get more people there. I have told the department, and I mean it, that we will take flyers around to every school in Hickman Mills, and we'll send 5,500 of those roughly home with kids to promote it. We'll certainly put it in our South Kansas City Alliance newsletter. That goes out to over 2,100 people, and it's forwarded to about 2,000 more. We'll publicize it in the local papers like the Martin City Telegraph, so we'll do our part. And as you may recall, Santa's Wonderland was out there, and then when I left the council, Santa left South Kansas City. I guess we'd been bad for a while. And finally, thanks to the... Yes, I'm going to say that. And thanks to our council people and all of us pushing for that, we did get Santa to come back there. And some folks said, oh, nobody will come. We had over 600 kids the first time, and we can promote this just as well. Give us that opportunity.
Thank you. Then Mr. Anton Thompson, and after Anthony, I didn't get the Y. Okay, Thompson, and then Erlene Beebe. And after that, Maria Martinez.
Good morning, everybody. I appreciate the mayor and all the councilmen here to have this budget meeting. I brought my ID here because
Mr. Thompson,
okay, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Just state your whole name again and what district you're
my whole
from.
name is Anthony A. Thompson. I'm
Right.
the founder and the CEO of a project called ADAM. It stands for Academics, Development, Achievement, and Motivation. I brought my ID here today because my ID says I brought my ID here because my ID says 3705 East Gregory Boulevard. Do you guys know where that's at? It's right there.
Okay.
We're in the community where there's less deprived economic development in Kansas City, Missouri. The reason why I came up with this program, because I'm actually from this community. I'm 51 years old with the high school right there. My son goes to high school right here. My mother graduated from this community. I own my property because my mother took public transportation, never drink, never smoked, never had a car. Her home is paid for. But for 51 years, I've seen Mayor Sly James. I've seen all these public officials run for offices, but the money never trickled down. Never trickled down. I had to sue the city of Kansas City for $365,000 for breaking my neck because they failed to repair a water main. My nephew ended up dying 4 years later because he got addicted to oxycodone. The scar on the back of my neck, is due to, it was reported water main on 51st. The car slid up the road, I broke my neck, lost my job. 1994, I went to prison. Got out of prison, got my GED, went to college, worked at Walmart for 6 years. That one tragic day, I went up that street, destroyed my whole life. Education, check my record. When you go down to the city, check that I am the only one to warn a $250,000 lawsuit against the city for them not failing to do what they got to do. See, like she said here, we're playing. If we got $1 billion, why do we still got liquor stores? Right, the school
Mr.
is right here and the liquor store is
Mr.
there.
Thompson, your
Why?
time is up.
Why are we not
Mr. Thompson,
investing this $1 billion
your
into the
time
homeless,
is up.
into the sick people?
Mr.
Why?
Thompson.
We just won the Super Bowl. We won the World Series. Where is the money? Where is the money?
Oh, wait a minute.
Check my record. Go down there and check
Arlene
my ID.
Beebe.
Where is the money to the people?
Sir,
we want the money. We want
Sir,
us to be.
It is time to allow
We want us to be
someone
treated
else
just
in
like
the
you treat the
audience
people on the
to
other
please
side of truth.
speak.
Don't come in the inner
Is
city
Arlene
with a
Beebe
mini
here?
and we don't have the money. Our kids cannot go to college. We cannot afford medical.
Sir, your time is up, and you're
There's murder in
keeping
the cities.
other
What
people
are we
from
doing here?
speaking. Thank you.
Thanks. Hopefully this is close enough. My name's Arlene Beebe. I live in 5th District, specifically Center School District. And so I am aware of all the issues that everybody else has talked about, and I agree with everything, specifically the 2 trash bag limit, which I think is stupid. But I am here today to talk about the Film Society and filming in Kansas City. I am on the board for the Film Society of Kansas City, and I've been on the board for 5 years. And the importance of keeping the film incentives here, it's one of those things that we're spending money, but it makes money. It's one of the few things that generates revenue for the city. Every year, since 2014, we have people come here to make feature films, TV shows, and commercials. And every time they come here, they hire a local crew, they have to stay places, and it generates revenue for the city. So it's one of the few budget items that actually makes money for the city. And I think it's important that you keep that in mind and keep Kansas City filming.
Thank you. Next will be Maria Martinez and then Steve Walker.
Hello. I am standing in the gap for Maria, and then she will go in my place because I have to leave a little bit early. But my name is Talitha McFadden. Can you guys hear me? Can everyone hear me? So what I'm coming for today is Children's Mercy's over $500 million cut. And one thing that I feel like we could all relate to is our children. Our children. This is a lot of money to cut back. We're talking about RNs that'll lose their job. We're talking about a whole bunch of places. Like if you think about how many ERs there is for children in Kansas City, it's literally only Children's Mercy and a couple of other places, which we have billions of people in Kansas City, which doesn't make any sense to me why we would cut the children's ability to have access to these things. So as you think about whatever is going to go in the budget, I know everybody's need is important to them, but our children is our future, and we need them.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then, are we having Maria Martinez? Okay, we'll go on Steve. Okay, Maria Martinez and then Steve Walker.
Hi, my name is Maria Martinez, and I live in Midtown. I've been a nurse at Children's Mercy at Operation Breakthrough for almost 5 years. 94% of the families that we serve at Children's Mercy at Operation Breakthrough are indigent. Our partnership with Operation Breakthrough and the funding that allows us to operate is critical to the health and well-being of the children and families at Operation Breakthrough and the surrounding community. An average family at Operation Breakthrough is typically a single mother of 3 making $13,000 or less a year. Many of our families lack transportation, are homeless, experience violence, and struggle with substance abuse. One particular story I'd like to share is of a family in which the mom has struggled with homelessness, prostitution, domestic violence, and substance abuse. During a recent clinic visit, the child and her mom needed flu vaccines. As she saw the needle for the vaccine, the mom began to cry and shake. She explained that after the recent overdose death of her sister, she herself relapsed for the first time to IV drug use and was triggered by seeing the flu vaccine needle. I gently held her hands in mine, told her we were there for her and that she could look the other way as Laura, the other nurse, gave her the vaccine. This is one of the many stories of the indigent families that we serve, those that work so hard to get themselves and their families back on their feet while life throws them setback after setback. So I ask you to please think about the families that would be impacted by this cut, and please restore the $500,000 cut to Children's Mercy.
Steve Walker. And then, no, I don't have another. Steve Walker. Is Mr. Walker here? Okay, and then Robert Richardson and Khalifa Bay. So Robert Richardson. Robert left. Khalifa Bay. Then.
Yeah, I'm Khalifa Bay.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Oh, he did? Oh. Well,
yeah, I've been undercover.
I thought you were kidding me.
I've been undercover for 10 years.
Okay.
I just want to make this announcement. But I live in the 5th District. I've been there for 50 years. Yeah. And I really appreciate my councilman. A lot of people just didn't know Catherine.
I didn't know.
I'm
Ron,
Khalifa Bay.
know.
I changed my name, so I had to. But anyway, I've been in the 5th District for like 50 years. And I just want to say this real quick. And back in 2001, I think Kevin Masters, Major L, Ron McMillan, Osco, and myself, and Tracy McClendon. We worked for months to try to put together a program that we could fight crime. And it's a good program. Catherine, it was a good program. And so this was like in 2001. I mean, we met with a lot of people. And so our whole thing was to have some jobs for ex-offenders coming out of prison, tying them with Truman Medical Center, doing these things. 2001. First 3 or 4 years, okay, some track. And this is my fault. I'm criticizing myself because I put this together along with these other guys, and we didn't monitor that program. And I'm here to say the program is not working. The guys are thorough guys that works in that program, Catherine, but it's not working. Last night, we had 5 people shot. 1 died. Last year, we had so many homicides. And the year prior to that, we give a little under $500,000 annually to that program, okay? $7 million total we probably spend in that program. We got to do something different, Mayor. You can't promote that. And I'm willing to, and Tracy done a good job. That's number 1. Number 2, the animal shelter. We've given money to that. We should not have to keep paying to operate. I'm a dog lover. We shouldn't have to keep, Brandon, we shouldn't have to, we putting that before human lives. A dog shelter. We voted for that. And so I'm going to be respectful. Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm going to end it.
Thank you. And I always say that I learn things, and today I learned who Khalifa Bay was that I had not known. Also known as Ron Hunt, AKA maybe. Anyway, so yes, she told me. Okay, Stacy Hammond, then Jose Fowles, Ellie Hudson.
Hi, thank you for listening to me today. I am, first off, everybody has had wonderful things that I think it's great to hear everyone speaking out about. You'll hear a lot more about things for the film initiative. I wanted to give you some of my testimony why I think it's important that you hear that does bring money back.
And again, would you tell us your name and what district you're from?
Stacy Pippi Hammond. It's for KC Film. I run Etheria Film Night, which is Hollywood's, the world's largest genre festival specifically for emerging genre filmmakers that happen to be women. In 2016, there was an entry from a hairdresser here in Kansas City that was filmed here in Kansas City that came to my event and beat films that had 5 to 10 times the budget, that had big names. Producers from the Punisher TV show, the first time Kerry Tagawa appeared with James Hong on screen. She beat them. This is raw talent that you have in your community that should be invested back into. You have a world-class film festival here in Kansas City. We want people to have this name recognition when they're not thinking about the two coasts, that they think of Kansas City. And I want them to say, Austin who? You have that here. Invest back into that. This is jobs. You have the opportunity to have an infrastructure to provide equipment to surrounding communities from KC. All that money comes back to this city. I want to thank you for listening to me today. I have to run back to LA before I come back here. On February 2nd, my entire family disowned me because I've told them that even though my money's there, my new home is here and this is where my home is. Thank you very much.
Jose Faust.
I didn't prepare any comments because I really don't know sometimes what to say. But I trust that I say the things that I feel in my
Jose,
heart.
would you just,
My name
again-
is Jose Faust. I live in Kansas City. I don't want to pick a district. I do want to say, I think one of the things that's really troubling about being in these kinds of meetings is that we end up having our own interests, and then we end up downgrading somebody else's interests, when in fact, we are a big tree. I want to point out, when you walk out of here, if you want to know the importance of the arts in this community, there's a pink tree over there. It was put out there. Most people didn't see it. They sit around and say, oh, what a wasted effort. But in fact, the one thing that that tree did is after it was declared dead, it sprouted leaves. It started to grow. And I think this is the thing that is happening in this community. We have an arts community that is vibrant, that in a lot of ways has been organic, has come out of its own way, and done a lot of the things that bring great credit to the city. Next year, there's going to be a convention here, a cultural convention. 14,000 writers going to be coming over here to Kansas City. There's no Office of Cultural Affairs here to help them if you get rid of it. You have to realize people are coming here, and when writers come, they speak, they write, they tell stories, they share. It's kind of, I don't know, maybe nearsighted to think that the only priorities that we have in this city have to do with numbers. You have to invest, you have to have vision. This city was ready to give away half of this damn city for Amazon, and yet you can't turn around and give it for the rest of us that really need it. That tree over there will sprout. That tree will sprout if you give it water. This is not the time to prune it. Please give it water. Thank you.
Ellie Hudson. Ellie Hudson, and then Nicole Carr.
Good morning. My name is Ellie, and I'm a leader with KC Tenants, and I'm also a resident of the 3rd District. I've been a part of this organization since last February when we began. We get constant calls and messages from people currently in crisis. We have a list of resources to give them, but that isn't enough. For me, the question is, why is our city not addressing these issues at the root of the problem? Our budget proposal equates to spending $4.35 per person to pay for this proposition. Tenants are 48% of the city. This city has a responsibility to do proactive outreach and education so every tenant has a basic understanding of their rights, and we have a place to turn when we believe our rights are being violated. The city system can be very hard to navigate, and hell, most of the times, the mayor's office just gives people the number to get a hold of KC Tenants because they don't have any better place to send people. We can do better. Our rights mean nothing if we don't know we even have them. The city must play a leadership role, and that starts with funding the Office of the Tenant Advocate and putting people first, and that includes Zero Fear Transit. We need to make sure that our people are taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Then Debbie Bayless, and then Maya Neal. Oh, I'm sorry, Nicole Carr.
You're
apologize.
good. Thank you. Hi, my name is Nicole Carr. I'm from the 4th District, and I'm here today as a nurse on behalf of Children's Mercy. But just as importantly, I'm here today as a mom of a child with a rare disorder on behalf of all parents who have children with medical complexities. I wish that I could share my story with you to let you know how hard this is, but due to time, I obviously can't do that. What I do want to tell you is what I've learned. I've learned that this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I know that other families just like me feel the exact same thing. No one can prepare you for this horrible journey that it is to be a parent of a child with special needs and not know what to do or what that journey looks like. My husband and I are very fortunate that we were able to find the world's leading specialist of my son's disorder. And when talking with him on the phone, he said, don't waste your time coming here because you have everything you need at Children's Mercy. Every specialist that could care for my son, which is 5 specialists, is here. And so for us, we feel amazingly blessed and fortunate that we have that. However, not everybody has that, but what they do have is this gift that the city has right here. It's Children's Mercy that cares for these kids. And it doesn't matter the socioeconomic status of the families that come. What matters is that Children's is here and they pick up the pieces. I'm a nurse. I feel like I know a lot and can care for kids. However, when it came to my own, I felt hopeless and lost and I didn't know what to do. Children's Mercy came and they wrapped their arms around us, and they do the same thing with other families who are just like ours with these difficult children to manage. So please, I'm asking that you put the $50,000 or $500,000 back in the budget to support these families, because we need to support this community and care for these kids to help them reach their highest potential in this world. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie Bayless, and then Maya Neal.
Hi, my name is Debbie Bayless, and I work for the Center for Conflict Resolution, and we serve the whole metro area in helping people reduce conflict and violence. And so I'm here today with Legal Aid, Elysia Johnson, to talk about funding a mediation program for the landlord-tenant docket. And I'll let Elysia talk a little bit more about the details.
Good morning, I'm Elysia Johnson with Legal Aid of Western Missouri, and we serve the metro area as well. We are here in support for the Center for Conflict Resolution. We are asking for $60,000 for a mediation coordinator position. Currently, we have a wonderful judge, Judge Roadcap, who has started a process where she has many mediators who are available when tenants and landlords come to court. And so she had to switch divisions. She's doing different kinds of work now, but we want to continue to support this work. So we would like to have the Center for Conflict Resolution have a mediator coordinator position so that they can continue to coordinate these mediators, so that there is another way for landlords and tenants to mediate their disputes when they go to court, other than having to go through the court process. Thank you very much. And thank you again to the council and to the mayor for your support for Legal Aid of Western Missouri. We're very appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you. Maya Neal. And then there will be Kenneth Mosley and Shea Ketchum.
Hello, my name is Maya Neal, and I'm a resident of the 2nd District, and I'm also a leader and organizer with KC Tenants.
Great.
I joined KC Tenants in the middle of a crisis when my apartment had an apartment-wide inspection, and my management threatened to evict all persons who in the unit they deemed unclean due to trash, insects, or rodents. This blew my mind as I was living with work orders that hadn't been fixed and a dumpster that was always full, preventing the proper disposal of our waste. I watched nearly all my neighbors get evicted in this process, and during this search, my apartment became infected with bed bugs. Arguments have been made that this proposal does nothing to keep the money in the pocket of renters or keep people in their homes. Having the right to a safe and clean home that's free of bed bugs would have saved me the 3 months' worth of rent that I paid to not get evicted, to replace nearly all my belongings, and to not live in my home while I was displaced and waiting for maintenance to fumigate my apartment. Our proposal is an investment in Kansas City that'll keep people like me in their homes. That is only if we are able to adequately fund the implementation mechanisms that don't prey on vulnerable tenants and keep property owners in compliance with an Office of the Tenant Advocate, who is devoted to enforcing the rights we passed in December. Now, due to the work that I have put into this proposal, I know that my rights were violated, and I know this will continue to happen unless you keep championing the Tenant Bill of Rights throughout this implementation phase. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Kenneth Mosley, then Shea Ketchum.
I spoke before, but I did want to say we do have a show dealing with the art of economic development. That talks about the issues with economic development on the east side of Kansas City.
Okay, thank you. So then we have Shea Ketchum, Paul Tyler, and somebody George. So when we start, and I'll figure that out while you speak.
Hi, my name is Shea Ketchum, and I support the Tenants and the free bus fare. Just want to say that. I've been an artist in Kansas City for 6 years, and I've seen the development of the arts change and grow and develop into something that the city can be proud of. Every year, there are more artists coming to this city for opportunities. Every year, there are more production companies coming to create and showcase these artists. We, Kansas City, are literally the heart of America, and the heart of this city is the arts. We are creating culture. We are creating jobs. We are creating works of heart. We are not a city with a pretty skyline. We are not just a city with 2 decent sports teams. We are writers. We are actors. We are dancers. We are jazz. We are artists. We are filmmakers. Art is ever present in our economy, and it is going on. It is ongoing. There is no off season. As you contemplate the budgetary cuts, I asked you to imagine Kansas City without the Jazz District, without Casey Rupp's Christmas Carol, without the Summer Shakespeare Festival or Fringe Festival, and no local art fair either. I am not a doctor, but if there is a deficiency in the body of the city budget, you shouldn't start by cutting out the heart. Art is heart.
Yeah. Paul Tyler. And after Mr. Tyler will be, I believe, Wing Raul George, and then Corey McGowan. Go ahead.
Hello again, Paul Tyler. I'm here. I live in the 4th District and have for 19 years. I'm here today to speak up on behalf of the arts, the artists, and all the arts lovers and supporters in Kansas City. Mayor Lucas, we are with you when you say that Kansas City without the arts, it's like barbecue without the sauce. We want you to save the sauce. I said that last week. It seems to have caught on a bit. Now let me tell you why we want to save the sauce. The arts in this community are very, very strong, as you have already heard, and as you will continue to hear. It's over $250 billion in economic activity every year between the nonprofit sector, the artists themselves, and the for-profit sector. Kansas City arts and creativity is very, very strong. We are passionate about it. So, there will be some who say, why should the city invest in something that is already so strong? Here's the secret. Your investment in city-funded arts programs like the OCCS are a force multiplier. Your investments, the purpose of public funding for the arts is to ensure more equitable access to the arts. And the arts community stands ready to help you achieve your goals in building healthier, safer neighborhoods.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, Wine Raul George.
Save the sauce. Thank you.
Thank you. Wine Raul George, and then Corey McGowan.
The name is Wingrove George. Just want to thank the mayor and all the council members. I live in the Citadel subdivision right down the street, and just want to say I agree with just about every comment and concern that's been made thus far. By nature, I'm an artist. I work in the commercial field of design and art, and I want to support every literary form of art, every performing visual. I'm a supporter of all the arts here in Kansas City. I've lived here 20 years now, and there's been a lot of concerns I've had, but today I'm here to listen, just voice that and come for support. Like I said, thanking those who are our city leaders, and just want to say, let's make this city what it should be from the start. Let's earn the name city for me, moving here from Chicago, I've always said it was a big town. I think we can live up to the name. Let's do this the right way.
Thank you. Then Corey McGowan, and then Nathan Bowman, and then Tim Johnston.
Corey McGowan had to leave. She was going to speak for Children's Mercy.
Okay.
So Laura Wiley will take her place. Oh, she's here. Okay.
Come on up. How do I get through?
Hello, everyone. So
tell us your name and what district you're in.
I am in District 23. My name is Corey McGowan.
Great.
Last night I got the call regarding the budget cut of $1,500,000. Is that correct? 500,000. God, Lordy, why are we considering this, people? This is going to be affecting not only our current situation as parents, but the livelihood of our city, the future youth of our city. And with the coronavirus going on, if you all make these type of budget cuts and there's a child who might have been affected, what if they are not able to receive the services that they need? Programs like the collaboration between Operation Breakthrough, where my children attend, and Children's Mercy is so innovative for the entire country. And it's unique. And not only is it innovative and unique, but it's a great convenience. I mean, as a parent, I have a great relationship with the staff there, and I don't have to stress about the strangers interfering or, a constant issue in our community. It's feeling like we're raising our children to be afraid of the system. But when you have a relationship base with your healthcare provider, you no longer have that fear as a parent. So I just want you all to reconsider it.
Thank you.
And thank you all.
Thank you. And then Nathan Bowman and Tim Johnston.
Hello, my name is Nathan Bowman. I'm the producing artistic director of Kansas City Public Theater and a resident of the 3rd District. I can only speak personally that since KC Public Theater's founding 2.5 years ago, the Office of Culture and Creative Services has been instrumental in supporting our mission for providing free professional theater across the city. This office has provided us with guidance and access to financial support, which allows us to respect our artists with the dignity of a paycheck while keeping our programming free. We have been told of the role of private development in the furthering of the arts, and yet we watch month after month as more and more artists flee the Crossroads Arts District as the price of space continues to rise due to a surge of unchecked private developers from outside of the region who have largely been subsidized by this city. We see this current budget, which proposes to address public safety while stripping resources from cultural and creative institutions which form the epicenter of communities. Many people in this room, as we've just heard, have heard the phrase "save the sauce" with regard to the arts. And don't get me wrong, I love my sauce. But I could not disagree more with this metaphor for the arts. This metaphor betrays the fact that the arts are not superfluous, they are not supplementary, not a thing to be drizzled on top, but rather the arts are an essential cultural good which should be made fully accessible to all members of our community. Mr. Mayor, City Councilors, I urge you, do not vote to pass a budget which so drastically affects the cultural and creative workers that form the backbone of the vibrant communities of Kansas City. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Johnston, and then
I have a
Latrina
handout.
Collins. Okay. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Tim Johnston. I live at 4323 North Central. It's in the Briarcliff area, north of the river, in the north part of the 4th District. I was here last week, or was in budget hearing last week, speaking specifically to North Oak Trafficway. This week, I want to talk, as the handout shows you, the GEO bond monies that we have allocated this next 5 years for all of Kansas City. If you look closely at that budget printout there, you'll see that there are only 5 projects north of the river. totaling about $30 million. The other $130 million is going south of the river, which is probably not good for me to say in this crowd. But anyway, we are one city. When we should have equitable infrastructure done across our city. North of the river, we do not have one arterial road that has a complete sidewalk from end to end. Vivian Road, Parvin Road, Prather Road, Berry Road, Antioch, Choteau, Brighton. What I would like to see, and I had a nice conversation the other day with Councilman Bunch, we could do not so much the big projects, but maybe we can connect some of these sidewalks up in these areas where they're missing for a few blocks or 6 blocks, something like that, to get the connectivity throughout our city, whether it be north or south. Thank you very much. Oh, and one more thing. This afternoon, it's so nice out. When you go for your walk, let's take a bag with you and pick up some trash. Thank you.
Ms. Collins.
Good morning. I'm Latrina Collins, and I live in the Citadel. First, I want to say thank you all for working so hard for our great city. We do appreciate it. And we appreciate you listening to all of our concerns and, helping our city and the people in it, the residents. I have a couple of concerns. I won't address them all. Keep it under 2 minutes. First, I'm requesting additional funds be put in the budget for city monitors to work with our commercial property owners. And I'm going to use Harold Penner's Plaza as an example. Harold Penner's Plaza, they do not do any upkeep whatsoever. There are no lawns in the parking lot. You don't know where to park. Everybody just parks anywhere. It looks horrible. They never invest. These developers, they come in, they make millions of dollars off of our residents, and they don't upkeep the property. In beautification, it looks horrible. It's embarrassing. I don't even want to go over there because it's such a mess and it looks horrible. And so I don't know if there are people at the city who are designated to keep these commercial property owners compliant with, upkeep and all of that, but it's not happening. And not just Harold Penner's, it's a lot of areas in the neighborhood that just look bad. 30 seconds, okay. There is, and our residents have to do a better job of upkeeping our properties as well. Somebody has dumped 3 sofas, couches, beds, 63rd Street, just past Prospect, just west of Prospect. And I understand that, some resident did that. But then can the city come back in and make sure that the property owners are taking care of that? It's been sitting there now for at least a week. And every day driving by there, it looks
your time
horrible.
is up.
Okay.
Thank you, though. Thank you very much. Then we have Turner Collins, and then Brian Morgan, and then John Rensenhouse.
Good morning. My name is Turner Collins. I don't know my district.
That's right.
25th and West Paseo.
3. Third.
3. All right, cool. So many parents work 2 jobs just to have enough money to be broke.
No.
So many people in this room work hard just to have enough money to be broke. Now imagine that broke parent and their kid has a headache and they take their kid to Children's Mercy and their kid has a tumor on their neck bearing down. On top of being broke, and on top of that, now you have to think about the cost of the care for your child on top of everything else. Who takes care of that? It's not the city. It's not anybody. It's Children's Mercy that takes on that cost. That is what's going to affect the cut to Children's Mercy. It's going to affect those poor parents because there are parents who can afford to take care of their kids. There are parents who can afford the health insurance. but there are parents who just can't. There are plenty of self-pay people out there who just can't afford, who are one sickness away from being in the poorhouse. Children's Mercy takes care of that cost. So that's what I'm here to support. Just please don't take away that money from Children's Mercy, because it's not going to be like the people who are well off who can like make it. It's going to be those poor parents who eventually feel that cost. Children's Mercy will be fine. It's a business at the end of the day. It's going to be fine. It's going to be those poor parents that feel that cost. So please, please don't take away that money that they could use to help those parents to ease that burden that they already have.
Brian Morgan, and then John Rensenhouse, and then Carol McClure.
Hello, my name is Brian Mangan, Mangan Productions. I started my company 26 years ago at 1427 West 50th Terrace. I support the film. And if all the film people and the artists can stand up, the people along the side, keep your hands up and stay with me. You know, the film industry, basically, for every dollar, when you put in the incentive, for every dollar you spend, you get $1.50 back. I don't know of any other incentive that you can put out there that the film industry brings you the money to fund all these folks, to fund Children's Mercy. To give you an example, Queer Eye came into town. The Jones Barbecue was selling 1.7 bottles per minute of their barbecue sauce. They would not have done it without the film industry. So add that tax incentive for $1 for 1.7 bottles per minute. So to give you an understanding, Fields of Dreams in Iowa, they had a farm and a baseball field. They sold that farm. It probably would have sold for around $400,000 originally. It sold for $3.4 million. What's the tax off of that? You know, and they're going to build 24 fields with 60 clubhouses. If we had a tax incentive, we had the film supported by you guys, you would have all this tax money to fund everything here. So if you will fund it, they will come.
Thank you. Brian Morgan, then John Rensenhouse, and then Carol McClure.
Oh, you are.
Is Brian who just spoke?
Okay. I'm Brian Morgan.
Yeah.
There are many districts that I venture out into. 3rd District, the line that divides us can unite us. T-R-U-C-E. Okay? That's the line that divides us. It can unite us. Truth. Okay?
All right. It does.
I'm in the arts.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
I'm in the arts. I'm with Westport Center for the Arts. Yeah. I'm at 30th and Truce. Okay? 3rd District. Okay? I'm all over the city. 39th and Truce. I'm in the city. I know what's going on. I've worked for the city for 20 years. I'm not all in agreement with the city, but I understand what's going on. Open your eyes, people. The line that divides us is truth. You can say it where you want to say it. It's truth that can unite us.
Then John Rensenhouse, Carol McClure, and Charles Porch, it looks like.
Hi there, I'm John Rensenhouse. I am a resident of the 4th District, and I am a theater person here in Kansas City. I'm the artistic chair of the Kansas City Actors Theater, which performs down in City Stage at Union Station. And I'm sure you all have heard all the wonderful testimonies about the arts. I'm here to advocate for the arts in this city, and you've heard the wonderful testimonies, and I assume You have seen the statistics showing that it is such a powerful economic engine for the city. And I just want to offer a little personal testimony. I spent 4 years on the road touring with the Broadway production of The Lion King, and I have spent considerable time in all of the major cities in this country, all of the major minor cities in this country, and it is so clear to me that the cities that are thriving and healthy are ones where the arts are thriving and healthy. It's just so completely clear. And if you need to abolish the Office of Cultural and Creative Services, that you are more wise about that. But what I'm here to advocate for is that you keep the money for the film industry because it returns so much money, and that you keep a presence and a commitment to the arts here, because it's what's really driving Kansas City's advancement. Thank you.
Carol McClure, then Charles Porch, then Marquita maybe Taylor. So sorry, Ms. McClure. Carol McClure. All right, we'll go on to Charles Porch.
My name's Charles Porch. I'm a resident of the 2nd District. We've had a lot of people talk about things that are near and dear to their hearts. They're important. But the bottom line I think that we have to look at is, just like a household, paying your bills is not the popular thing to do. You have to keep the lights, you have to keep the gas paid, the water on. I think that's the primary focus of our budget. We're looking at putting a sales tax issue to fund the fire department. We're talking about funding the police department when we've got a crime issue, and you want to look at 10 officers as an increase for the year. We've lost 40-plus police officers due to retirement. I don't know what the number are for the fire department. If we don't take care of the basic city services, if we don't provide for police, for ambulance, for fire, for infrastructure repairs, to repair our water system, our streets, our sewers, the rest of this is not going to be an issue. We find, and we have for a number of years, the city has put infrastructure issues and the housekeeping issues on a back burner when they've continued to find ways to subsidize a multitude of arts projects, of city. You take like the Jazz District, and I'm not picking on any of these things individually, but we've put infrastructure issues on a back burner so that we could fund arts and entertainment activities. We have to consider what's got to be done to maintain this city. We have to have our streets fixed, and we've done these other projects at the expenses of these. We have told city employees that they're going to have to forego the pensions that the city's obligated themselves to pay. We're not going to fund those systems fully, but we're going to build these other projects. Please consider that. It's housekeeping.
Thank you very much. And then Marquita Taylor and Robin Ganal, and then Mason Kilpatrick.
First, let me say thank you so much for Marquita Taylor. I'm a member of the 3rd District. Thank you so much for giving everybody an opportunity to speak. There's about 3 issues, and I will do them very quickly, which are really important to our neighborhoods. I'm the president of Santa Fe Area Council. Yeah. I also work for Urban Neighborhood Initiative, and everything is about neighborhoods. When we speak about additional funding for our police department, they are absolutely important to us. But what I would really love for us to think about is when we put the new police station right on the corner of Prospect, our neighbors felt we were going to be more secure. We thought we were going to have some of the services. We wouldn't have to worry about as much crime. Unfortunately for us, nothing has changed. So we really would appreciate it if there is additional funding that's to go to the police department, that it's not so much for more manpower. I believe they ask for more manpower every year. And again, I love the police department. We work well, but there's so many other things that are safety related that we need to do in our neighborhoods. Number 2, we need to think about housing. We have a serious problem with people not having homes, not able to live in their homes in our neighborhoods. And I certainly support KC Tenants, but I want to say this about that. You're still in neighborhoods. It's important that you all, and we welcome you to our meetings and to be a part of that, but what happens in our neighborhoods affects you as well. So please consider the neighborhoods. If there's funding that you have that can go toward things that are really going to help us, we really want that. Minor home repair, all of those things that I think that we're leaning toward, but we need to have the money in order to take care of our neighborhoods and our people who live here. And if there's trash, just pick it up. Just pick it up. 2 bags is not enough. Please support us in helping to get rid of the debris in our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Yes, Robin, thank you. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Robin Ganal, and I'm a resident of the 4th District, and I'm a very concerned mom. I'm also a leader with the Sierra Club. I have 2 little girls, and I feel like everything that I do as a mother is all for nothing right now if we don't address the climate crisis. And with our federal and state leaders failing us, we really rely on you to do everything in your power to reduce emissions. So I want to thank you for including an update to the Climate Protection Plan this year. This is the first update in 12 years. But I want to say with respect that $25,000 isn't enough for a major update like that. So I'm here to ask for an additional $95,000 to adequately fund this critical plan. We need to ensure this plan is ambitious, clear, is centered on equity, does not leave anyone behind, and prioritizes communities of concern that have historically borne the brunt of pollution and been the last to benefit from clean energy and energy efficiency. The plan should include the goals of the housing community, the goals of those who walk, bike, or take public transit, the communities with higher rates of asthma because they live near polluting coal and gas plants and polluting industries, and the dreams of all the little ones who just want to have a future and want to know the grown-ups and the leaders are doing all they can. So with all due respect, I ask for sufficient funding for the Climate Protection Plan. Thank you very much.
Next is Mason Kilpatrick, and then Alecia Johnson, and then Wendy Thompson.
Hello. My name is Mason Andrew Kilpatrick, and I live in the 3rd District. I'm leader of KC Tenants, and I'm also a proud servant in Kansas City's Community of the Arts at Charlotte Street Foundation. I want to make clear that I support the Office of Tenant Advocate, saving our city's arts programs, and zero fare transit. 17 days ago, I attended Mayor Quentin Lucas's State of the City address, where he described this year's budget as equitable. I cannot say that I agree with this statement, especially seeing how $10.7 million are being given towards the police. More social workers are good, but 10 new police officers will not prevent gun violence. Investing in our poor and working class communities prevents gun violence. An equitable budget for our communities means more funding towards housing and tenants, more funding towards education, more funding towards public transit, and more funding for the arts. You can't pass resolutions and ordinances like the Tenants' Bill of Rights and expect it to work without funding anyone to enforce it. We need KCMO's arts budgets, and 48% of Kansas Cityans need the Office of Tenant Advocate. It only costs each Kansas Cityan $3 for the Office of Tenant Advocate, and it costs even less to support the existing arts budgets now. I challenge you to stop investing in militarized solutions of 50 years ago and start investing in our actual future. Thank you to our City Council. I'd like to thank our City Council for taking the time to listen to us today, and we look forward to seeing how you respond.
Alecia Johnson. Alecia Johnson, then Wendy Thompson, then Leo Carrillo.
I'm Elysia Johnson with Legal Aid of Western Missouri. I'm here sharing my time with Wayne Smith, who is the managing attorney of our municipal court team. And I also want to speak on behalf of Michael Duffy, who is the managing attorney of our economic development team. And I just want to thank the council, thank the mayor for your support for our work. Michael Duffy and his attorneys have just done some really amazing things in our communities. We feel so blessed to have them as a part of our organization. We really feel blessed to be able to work in communities, to help with abandoned housing action cases, to be able to help with other kinds of cases to help improve our communities and our housing stock. And so we just want to thank the council and the mayor for your support. And then I also want to turn it over to Wayne Smith, who manages our municipal team, and also thank the council for your support with that work as well.
Thank you. We represent about 11,000 residents every year, and if you break that down per our budget, that comes out to about $100 per representation. And those of you that are lawyers or that pay checks to lawyers know that's an incredible bargain. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Wendy Thompson. I'm a 44-year resident of the 2nd District. Thank you all for listening so carefully. I really am impressed with all of this and the respect given. I appreciate that. I am here to lend my voice to what you've already heard about supporting the KC Film Office, the Office of Creative and Cultural Services, and more to the point, the Film Incentive. This actually brings in work and jobs for not just artists, technicians, craftsmen, electricians, carpenters, accountants, and I would give you statistics on the return on that investment, but I consider statistics to be a rather creative field. So, but I'm told they bring in millions of dollars. Those millions of dollars translate to a lot of tax money, which comes back into the budget and will help to fund all these wonderful causes that we've heard from today. So this is a very important thing. If you got the money to spend, then maybe we can help out these neighborhoods and hospitals and the arts in general, of course. Thank you.
Okay. Then we go to Sidani, can you, Sydney. Oh, that's an N, C-I-N-D-Y.
I think that's me, right? It's Sydney Garrett. How are ya?
Introduce yourself.
Yes, indeed.
I'm failing terribly.
No worries. It's a hard name. I'm Sydney Garrett. I'm in the 6th District resident, and I'm the Executive Artistic Director of the Heart of America Shakespeare Festival. I'm also here to speak on behalf of the newly formed Theater Alliance, which you don't know enough about, but you will. Our hope is that thank you, Mayor and Council, and thank you, fellow citizens, for being so doggone inspiring today. I'm overwhelmed. Our hope in the Theater Alliance is that you in the city of Kansas City will remain committed to the regional cultural plan and continue to invest in our arts and culture. You've seen how impassioned all of these people are, and the arts stakeholders are equally impassioned because we believe arts are essential and not extraneous. When City Hall shows that the arts are important by providing focus and space at the table for any discussion that comes about, and when it comes to determining budgets, then arts and culture will be important throughout the entire community. You are the leaders that give us that voice. It matters when our elected leaders see that what we contribute to the quality of life for all the people in our community, and how the arts that we create and the culture we offer brings visitors to our city with their dollars, their goodwill, and their voices, which they will use to trumpet Kansas City when they go back home and bring more people here, which brings more money, which brings more focus on the incredible things we do. Your arts and culture community is made up of a significant number of people doing a wide variety of jobs. Our industry is one of the top employers in the metro. So I ask you to continue to focus on the arts and the people who create, produce, and present them, and the audiences and participants who are entertained, enriched, and the young people who are educated. And we need creative thinkers, and creative artists are the people that can help them learn how to be creative thinkers. When deciding which line items to maintain in this budget, consider your own favorite story, or painting, or a song that uplifts you, and remember that the arts touch us all. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next is Janae Manley, then Sandra Hayes, then Tim Altman, Elanius, and then Jake Gallagher. So Janae.
Hi, my name is Janae Manley. I have grown up in Kansas City, Northland, but currently live in the 2nd District. I am a leader with KC Tenants. I believe knowledge is power, and guaranteeing that all renters receive a copy of their rights ensures that they can empower themselves. I find this piece of the Tenant Bill of Rights to be the most effective form of community engagement. The funding of the Office of Tenant Advocate would have helped me when the Housing Authority told me I don't care about their violations of the federal government's policies on raising rent. Without funding of the Office of Tenant Advocates, knowledge is power can only result in anger and frustration. I've known my rights were being violated. I've proven my rights have been violated. Without an advocate to hear my issues and stand up for me, all I can do as a single mother is continue to drown in a system that won't fight for me or my children. The Office of Tenant Advocates can hold bad actors accountable and demand for tenants across Kansas City. Demand better for tenants across Kansas City. Thank you for passing the Tenant Bill of Rights, but we are not done yet. Please help us fund our mandate.
Thank you. Sandra Hayes, then Tim Elanius, Jake Gallagher.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Sandra Hayes. I live in the 3rd District. I'm here on behalf of Legal Aid of Western Missouri. I chair their community outreach, and I want to help you understand the work that our Legal Aid of Western Missouri is doing right here in Kansas City to bring justice to all. Legal Aid is in 40 counties in Western Missouri, and at the moment, Legal Aid is involved in the Jackson County Courthouse for the tenants, landlord rights. Legal Aid is downtown Kansas City in the Circuit Court, Jackson County, every Thursday, helping tenants stay in their homes. Legal Aid of Western Missouri is in your schools. We have 3 schools here in Kansas City that we're in, trying to keep children and their families in their homes. Legal Aid is also doing a project called KSIP, Kansas City Social Investment Pool, where we are allowing rehabbers that can't get loans in the normal way to be able to rehab homes in our urban core so our residents can find decent, affordable housing. Legal Aid is also working the Tenant Landlord Project, and we are actually creating a mediation program. So my job here today is to encourage you to continue to support Legal Aid of Western Missouri, because this organization is bringing justice for all in this community. I know that because I work tirelessly as their chair of community outreach. Thank you so much.
Tim, and then Jake Gallagher, and then Jerry Venn, or Ver, I can't read the.
Good morning. I'm going to speak fast because I only got 2 minutes. My name is Tim Elanius, and in addition to the small business I run, TDL Contracting Group, I have the pleasure of serving on Southtown Council for the last 6 years, the last 2 as its president. I'm also heavily involved in the arts community. I'm currently the board president of the Living Room Collective, and I'm one of the core staff members of the Black Box Performance Space venue in the West Bottoms. Over the last 20 years, I've been fortunate enough to have been involved in nearly all the professional and some non-professional theater companies in our community. I have worked as a non-equity professional actor and performer since the late 80s, from performing in the smallest communities doing children's theater in parks and libraries to large venues on national tours. Each and every location had the same thing in common. They believed the arts were critical to creating a well-rounded community. The gift we give nightly or daily is that just for a few moments, audiences can step away from their world and be transported to the realms they only dream of. Or sometimes they're allowed the privilege to open their eyes to the subject matter that will touch them to their soul, to their core, that will change their convictions and bring about positive change. It is a responsibility we do not take lightly. Over the last 20 years, I have watched a renaissance of sorts of our theatrical community. Theater graduates and professionals choosing to stay here in Kansas City to hone and develop their craft, starting their own theaters, writing original pieces of work. I have watched the city benefit from those commitments. The Crossroads was a downtown afterthought, abandoned storefronts and empty parking lots. Then they let the artists in, and they created studios and galleries and theaters. Then the developers and business owners jumped on that progress, and now we witness the same founders of that area being pushed out by high rents and development. I'll close by asking you to consider this. A lot of news has been broadcast about the incentives getting to the new Lowe's Hotel and Convention Center. Much of the news is not good. A $4 million shortfall that has to be made up in the general fund, correct? And not far from that location, there is another proposal for a hotel that is relying heavily on tax incentives, continuing the policy of the last 10 years. This city is pushing to have more places for visitors to stay, right? Let me ask you, what are they going to see when they get here?
Your time
Thank
is
you.
up. Thank you. Thank you. Jake Gallagher and then Jerry Vare.
Councilman Lee Barnes of the 5th District at Large had to leave early for a funeral. He just wanted to make sure we shared with you that there was no disrespect to the crowd or anything of that sort. So I wanted to make sure you all knew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Please continue.
My name is Jake Gollier. I live in the 4th District. I'm an actor and singer born and raised in Peculiar, Missouri, and I now work in the theaters around the city. 5 years ago, I moved out of Missouri to build my career as a professional actor in New York City. During my years there, I was in a workshop with a panel of casting directors when they shared with me some data that finalized my decision to return home. I learned that in the 25-plus years that they had been casting in New York for regional theaters across America, that fewer and fewer of those theaters were going to New York to cast their seasons every year. It was a steady and unwavering decline. This was not because the theaters across the country were closing. It was because cities across the U.S. had committed to casting from their local artistic talent. I talked to my fellow actors here in town, and they confirmed that that trend was true in my home city. So that was it. I moved back. The art I create seemed impossible to produce regularly and consistently in NYC, but the arts have been growing and thriving right here for years. When I took my money and my employment out of New York, it was because I saw that I could make my career here in my home city working for over 25 paying theater companies. I left the artistic market of New York because it was an unreliable environment for me to live and work in. If the arts lose their funding, the theaters I rely on to produce my work will struggle to create their highest quality and volume of work, and many of them will undoubtedly have to close. If my career requires me to take my money and my employment out of this city again, I will have to do it. Mayor Lucas, if you allow the arts in KC to flourish, I guarantee you we will continue to help you make Kansas City a healthier, stronger, and more colorful town. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry Vare, and then Chris Dahl and Corey Hensley.
It's Jerry Vance. My handwriting's very poor. I have a costume prop company in Kansas City, and just this last month, I've done business with people from Tennessee, New York, and California. These people are not just coming here and filming, getting props from me, by the way, but they're also hitting motel rooms, they're getting places to eat. They're supporting our city. They'll ask me where to go eat, and I'll go tell them, Brian's Barbecue, But these people are supporting us. They're not coming here because it's any other reason, but for the incentives. And if you cut that out, you're losing money, because they are. And I'm going to tell you another thing. I have all the kids, almost all the schools in our community come to my shop to get costumes and props. These kids are wonderful children. They have some kid in their class that has special needs. They don't make fun of them like other schools do and other students. They try to support those children. And I want to thank you for not cutting us. We need more support. But these children aren't troublemakers. The arts are not troublemaking people. So please support us, please. Thank you very much. But to give you an idea, I was in this room one other time, and guess what it was? A premiere of a film that I worked on. So don't cut it, okay?
Okay, Chris Dahl and then Corey Hensley.
Love you, Jerry. My name's Chris Durr. I'm a Kansas City cinematographer. I agree with and support just about everything I've heard today. I'm inspired and I'm also upset by a lot of things I hear. So thank you guys for making this space to listen carefully. My friends, my family, thousands in my community rely on the arts and film incentive programs. It's an investment that returns more dollars than it requires. That will give us money to spend on all of these other issues brought up today. I'm going to keep this short, and we're seeking some specific clarification. We all want to hear our film office's city partner, the Office of Culture and Creative Services, will not cease to exist. That's who administers the incentive program, not the film office itself. While I'm grateful to hear the office isn't in question, it's the incentive program and funding for it that really gives it legs to continue the growth that we've seen in recent years. We look forward to the response. Let's keep KC filming, and thank you.
Thank you. Now, Corey Hennisley, then Nick Woods, and then Andrew Zimmerman.
Hi, everyone. I'm Corey Hinesley. I live in Midtown, Kansas City, and I primarily work in Kansas City, Missouri as a freelance production designer and art director for the film community. I'd like to share a story with you today, written by Joey Mendez, the co-owner and founder of Ula Men's Clothing Boutique, a locally owned business which was featured on season 3 of Queer Eye on Netflix, which was shot here in Kansas City. He was unable to be here today, and he asked me to read this in his absence. Quote, "As a struggling locally owned small business, getting the opportunity to be on the Netflix show Queer Eye has been a game changer. We've been open just over 3 years and have had quite a few obstacles in our first few, mostly with our building going through complete reconstruction. We reached out to the Queer Eye producers as soon as we found out they were filming in Kansas City, and they were the most amazing team. They fell in love with our store and we ended up participating in 3 episodes. Having our store exist in the Netflix world has been exposure we never dreamed we'd be able to get and continue to benefit from today. We've had online orders from across the United States, and we've had visitors from out of town almost weekly mention that they saw us on the Queer Eye show. We're finally on a path of steady upward growth, and we're so grateful to have been part of such an amazing and inspiring show." End quote. This and countless other stories like it couldn't have happened without our film incentive programs, and we intend to increase these types of stories with the priceless exposure the film incentive offers our city. But we can't do that without the support of the city and the city council. Thank you for your time.
Now, Nick Woods, and then Andrew Zimmerman.
My name is Nick Woods. I'm in the 2nd District. I grew up here in Kansas City. My mom went to UMKC and got her PhD in African art, so I grew up in a very artistic home. And I have seen it grow exponentially since I was just a little kid growing up in that artistic house. I guess I want to say something that I think is maybe being a little underestimated regarding the arts community. We're talking about the funds, which definitely we're not underestimating. We're seeing those statistics. But I don't think that people are aware that art is a form of truth-telling in which the city learns to identify itself and understand its own identity. And what's going on here, and it's not this way in other cities that are the size of Kansas City. We have entrepreneurship, small businesses that are incredibly creative with their pitches and what they actually offer. That creativity is an anomaly. Like as far as like what we're seeing in Kansas City, it's not everywhere. All right, I run a small business, a little cigar shop, and we develop a lot of little community there. But I really don't want people to underestimate that it's not just the money that trickles down, it's the creativity and entrepreneurship, so that people can offer different kinds of things. And I actually think it's probably why Queer Eye actually chose this city in order to do the show here. I actually don't really make any money off of filmmaking, even though I am a filmmaker, but I do give all of my expendable income to the film community by paying my fellow artists because they are worth it. So in the past 2 years, I've dropped $10,000 of my own money, see no return on that simply because I love it, and I've paid the people that I'm working with. So I'm providing jobs that I'm even seeing in return. So that's the kind of passion you're getting from this community.
Okay. Andrew Zimmerman, and then Scott Myers and Kathy Allison.
Good morning. Andrew Zimmerman, 4th District, and I'm here today to speak in support of the KC Film Office and KC Film Development Program. While you've heard from many residents about why the arts are important, as the president of SAG-AFTRA of Missouri Valley Local, a union for television and film actors, I want to focus on the economic impact television and film production has. The work that they do in the KC Film Office, combined with our small incentive program, brings in $10 million annually. Thanks to that $75,000 incentive program, we were able to land an event called the NFL Draft. It's projected to bring in over $200 million in spending. $200 million coming into Kansas City, thanks to what was $175,000 in our budget. That's money well spent. With the work of this office and the incentive Queer Eye shot in Kansas City, given us national exposure that we couldn't buy. Well, maybe for $175,000. The KC Film Office and KC Film Development Program are doing amazing work, and we need to recognize that. The financial return we see as a city, thanks to this small part of our budget, should make voting to maintain and honestly raise funding an easy decision. With the tax revenue brought into Kansas City, due to this tiny part of our overall budget, we can help fund such important projects such as free transit fare and funding for our KC Tenants Enforcement Office. Thank you for your time.
Scott Meyer.
Hi, I'm Scott Myers. I represent the 4th District. I'm board president of the Westport Center for the Arts. I want to thank all of you, the mayor and the city council people, for listening to all of us today. At Westport Center for the Arts, we believe that when the community creates art, the arts create community. And our mission since 2008 has been to uncover hidden beauty and meaning in Kansas City through music, a monthly brown bag concert series, through independent professional theater, and through a collaborative young people's arts program called Kids Team Up for Art. We brought along 2 works of art from Kids Team Up for Art today. No disrespect to the current mayor. Last year at the Garrison Antonia Gary Community Center, a group of young people learned about the art of Kehinde Wiley, who is the person who was commissioned to paint the portrait of Barack Obama. The children and young people were taught about him and then created together a painting of the former mayor Sly James. Then at the Marlboro Community Center, in a summer program, they created a guy we call Luigi. I'm not here to support the Westport Center for the Arts, but the opposite is also true of community and art making. When we shatter art, we shatter community. Arts create meaning for us. And today, with the liar-in-chief in the White House, and we are all being made to feel our lives are meaningless, we need to create meaning, and the arts are a way to do that. Please support Arts Tech. I haven't heard about them so far today. Great program for teenagers, the Kansas City Film Commission, and the Office of Creative and Cultural Services. Thank you.
Kathy Allison, then Steph Hedenkamp, and Antoine Winters, I believe. Please.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you, council. These are tough decisions, and I know they're tough. I came to support the Arts Initiative, but I also have been here many other times. I would like to acknowledge the hard work that the tenants writes. I was there the night they voted on it. If we vote on it, then we have to support it. I work in healthcare, and I support Children's Mercy. And I know it's a tough decision, but Missouri will not pass the Medicaid expansion, so that if they don't protect our weakest, we have to. Arts are important. I've been on a board of one of the local theaters, and it's not what they do now, but they also support a student program. Why? Because arts have been so slashed in our community schools. So we have to look at the whole picture, and we can't go from one side to the other, but we have to look at what resources, but how do those resources help build our community? Trash is another thing, but if we look at tenants, respect, children, healthcare respect, arts, and what they can give back, a free Shakespeare festival is open for all. Movies can help people understand, and that's quality. Thank you.
Thank you. Steph Hedenkamp, and then Antoine Winters. And after that, Darcy Munzer. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, citizens. This is amazing. So I come to you, I work a lot in the 3rd District of the city. I've actually worked on a lot of projects around the entire metro. I'm here to represent KC Means Business. So we're the movement to make sure you all understand how important entrepreneurs are. And we include the artists in that, of course. You know, KC Means Business is important because what we're doing here in the city is helping to create more wealth. 70% of our small businesses, that's where the jobs come from, right? We know that it's not just the big businesses, it's the small, family-owned, community-based entrepreneurs that build wealth, hire folks, create more earnings taxes, and all kinds of additional funds to help do the things that our city needs to do. So sorry, I see I have a minute. We basically want to just emphasize that investing in entrepreneurs, it's like investing in another kind of infrastructure. And we know that's what the city is best at doing. That's your primary role. But investing in the mesh of our entrepreneurs is extremely important. There can be so many things done through KC SourceLink, Launch KC, AltCap, more partnerships, more collaborations, more help to get entrepreneurs off the ground and hire more folks in our community. So we want to encourage you, as you look at the budget, to don't discount entrepreneurs. That is the engine of our city. Please do listen to our entrepreneur leaders. They are the on the ground, the boots on the ground folks that can tell you what they need. And my last point is, as the global and our state and city economy prepares for the shift to knowledge-based industries, it is our own leaders, entrepreneurs, and founders in which we need to invest. Please foster loyalty and economic success in Kansas City. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Antoine Winters, then Darcy Munz. Tell me again.
Good morning, KC. I'm Antoine Winters. I'm from the 5th District. I'll be reading an excerpt from Taxes and Taxing Districts on the Rise in Missouri by Graham Rentz and Patrick Toy. In our new paper, Overgrown and Noxious, The Abuse of Special Taxing Districts in Missouri, Graham Rentz and I detailed the hundreds of micro-taxing districts that have collected over $1 billion from Missourians. Some of these, such as fire protection districts and sewer districts, may be familiar to readers. But explosive proliferation of 2 other types of districts, community improvement districts and transportation development districts, is driving the increase. Since they were created in the 1990s, the number of CIDs and TDDs in the state has grown to more than 600. Many were created without the public vote, and too many lack basic mechanisms of oversight. After a recent report, the Missouri State Auditor stated, there need to be protections in place to ensure public dollars are being utilized efficiently and effectively for the good of the public. It is simply unacceptable that state law allows for self-dealing and conflicts of interest within these taxpayer-supported projects. Our paper examines the history and growth of these special taxing districts and suggests some simple reforms that could help increase public accountability and reduce the likelihood that private developers will be allowed to pass their own private costs to taxpayers. Listen to our podcast on our special taxing districts in Missouri. Thank you very much.
Darcy Munzer.
Thank you. My name's Darcy Munzer. I live in the 5th District, and I'm here to support increased budget for more police officers in our city. I attended the Kansas City Police Department Citizens Police Academy, During our sessions, I heard many different officers say how short of help they were in their departments. Applications were handed out to all of us in the city's Citizens Academy, and everybody was encouraged to apply for jobs. We all know as business people that understaffing in any job can lead to fatigue, error, and burnout. When I went on a ride-along with an officer, there were at least 2 calls we went on where the caller waited well over an hour for us to arrive. This disturbance was over. The problem person had already left by the time we got there. Each officer's car has a computer in it that shows a little map showing where all the police cars are at all times, as well as a list showing how many calls we were requested to go to. There were very few cars out, but there were a lot of calls. I encourage everybody to go on a ride-along. It's inspiring, it's interesting, and it's eye-opening. I enjoy the film and the theater and the entertainment districts in our city very much, but I'm not going to go out at night if I don't feel safe going there. I've never been in an emergency situation where I had to call 911 and need an officer right now, but I pray if I'm ever in that position, one can arrive quickly and not 2 hours later.
Wilson Vance and Stephen Tyler.
Hello. Hello, People's Budget. What's up? KC Tenants are with you. For real. So hi, my name is Wilson Vance. I'm a leader with KC Tenants. I am also a proud lifetime renter and resident of the 4th District. In December, I was really, really excited and thrilled that 9 of you voted to pass our Tenant Bill of Rights, and now I'm asking that you fund it. I believe if we can find funding for a parking garage, that we can find funding to protect the hundreds of thousands of residents in Kansas City who have insufficient recourse when they fall prey to a landlord who is taking advantage of them. We must have an Office of the Tenant Advocate, which is devoted to fielding reports from renters who are seeking accountability. We have seen the consequences of tenants not having this tool. For example, Nob Hill residents who have been forced to live without heat for months, with ceilings so full of water damage that they fall on tenants' heads while they bathe. With medical bills piling up from their hospital visits because their own homes are making them sick. As a city, we should not have to rush to the aid of families like this because landlords were able to evade accountability for years because of the current system that we have. We don't need more Band-Aids, but we do need proactive legislation that will protect our residents from landlords like TEH Realty. TEH is imploding right now, and I am so glad that it is. It's overdue. But let me be very clear. TEH, they're not the only landlord who does business like this. And accountability must not stop with TEH. We need a tenant bill of rights. All of you know that without funding, this mandate is hollow. It's time to do the right thing and follow through on your votes. Thank you.
Next is Stephen Tyler, and then Tommy Indigo, then Joe Hall.
Hello, I'm Stephen, and I'd like to give my time up to Tiana Codwell.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Tiana Caldwell, and I am a leader with KC Tenants. My family and I were evicted from our home after I received my 2nd diagnosis and was actively in treatment for ovarian cancer. We were then scammed out of $4,000 by the only property owner who would give us a chance after that eviction. And we ultimately spent 6 months homeless in hotels at Christmas. And there are far too many stories about people just like me and my family. Winning the Tenant Bill of Rights package in December was the first step to ending this injustice, but the victory means nothing without implementation and enforcement. Kansas City needs this funding for the Tenants Bill of Rights, right? I attended the Housing Committee meeting on Wednesday, and I heard testimonies, and even some here, from organizations that are seeking funding for resources that are all reactive. And we agree that people need help in crisis, but we need something proactive that keeps people out of crisis in the first place. The truth is, most of these organizations did not build any real accountability into their programs, so we are buried in long waiting lists and unresolved complaints. The Tenant Bill of Rights package is our proactive solution. The Tenants Bill of Rights package provides true accountability. Treating the symptoms of a problem is not a solution. You have to solve problems from the root cause, or all you do is prolong the suffering. Thank you for having the backs of tenants in this city. Remember, we are 48% of the city's residents. We need you to fulfill the mandate of funding the implementation of the Tenant Bill of Rights. Not only will we save resources, we will save lives. Thank you again. I'd like to ask the council, because we've been talking about family and the impact. My son and my husband are here, and without their stories too, you don't understand the impact of how it is on a family. And I would like to ask you to allow them to tell the rest of our story.
And
if you would.
we will at the end, when everybody who's signed up has spoken. We will let everyone who wants to speak, even if they haven't signed up, when those who have spoken. So Tommy, and then Joe Hall, and then Deborah Souse.
Hi, Tommy of Westport. I'm sorry, the city council district number is not on my personal radar in between elections. This is my first city budget hearing ever. I assumed it would be boring, but actually it's been quite an adventure. Thank you all for listening carefully to all this excellent advocacy, but I would like to bring your attention to the fact that there are thousands of people in rental housing living in substandard and terrible conditions here in Kansas City. People are subject to capricious evictions by abusive landlords, lack of critical maintenance, capricious denial of housing applications, and subject to retaliations by abusive landlords if they complain. Now, we have rights under state law and now under city law, thanks to most of you here who voted for who approved the recent Bill of Rights resolution and law under city law. But without an office of tenants advocacy in City Hall, the only recourse is the same as it always was: civil lawsuit, which is way out of reach, as I'm sure you know, for many, many people for a lot of different reasons. So please do fully fund the Tenants Bill of Rights implementation budget proposal. I think you all have a copy of our budget proposal. And we all understand this will require some additional due diligence in some cases by the many good managers of housing, but there are thousands of people subject to terrible conditions and abusive landlords here in Kansas City. Thank you.
Joe Hall, then Deborah Seuss, and Laura Wiley. So Joe, are you here? Joe Hall? If not, we'll go on to Deborah Seuss, S-O-U-E, I think. Is Deborah here? How about Laura Wiley? Okay, Laura.
Good morning. My name is Laura Wiley, and I live in the 4th District. I am a registered nurse at Children's Mercy inside the clinic at Operation Breakthrough. We are a community-based safety net clinic serving the children and families at 31st and Troost. For a moment, I would like you to remember yourself as a child and at a time when an adult showed you exceptional compassion. Do you remember how that made you feel, or how it still impacts you now? I share my time there as a clinic nurse and also as a school nurse. I could tell you about our awesome preventative care today, or the free vaccine program we have, or about the illnesses we care for, the rashes we treat, the lice that I come out, the noses that I section, the tears I wipe, the injuries I tend to, or even about the stories of guns and violence I have heard from the mouths of 3- and 4-year-olds. But instead, I want to tell you about a new student who was recently placed with a new guardian, her grandmother. She told her teacher at Operation Breakthrough that she had a bellyache. When I went to see her in her classroom, I quickly brought her back to our Children's Mercy Clinic on site because she was in full respiratory distress. And then I can tell you about the tears of relief her grandmother had when she found out her granddaughter was treated and already improving. I can tell you about grandmother's gratitude with the education we provided about asthma for the very first time. And I can tell you about the gratitude she expressed for the love and compassion we showed her sweet granddaughter. The funding that Kansas City currently provides Children's Mercy is vital for the students and patients we serve at Operation Breakthrough. The mission of Children's Mercy at Operation Breakthrough is to invest in the health and the kids in this community. I ask you to reconsider cutting the funding to Children's Mercy so we continue to show these families and their children the best care we can where they already are. Thank you.
Now we have Barbara Noble, then Tony Sloan, then Diane Charity.
Hi, I'm Barbara Noble. I'm here to lend my voice to the Kansas City Film Office and the arts in Kansas City. I am the current board chair for the Kansas City Film Festival. Our flagship festival will be in April here, honoring filmmakers from all over Kansas City, from all over the country, and even from the world, sharing stories. You have heard stories all morning long. We need to continue to fund those stories. We need to empower those stories so they can be heard across our country, across the world. To disempower through funding, we will lose so much. It's been said so eloquently by many people before me about how investing in the arts like this, investing in the film office, pays. It doesn't cost. It pays, and it continues to bring money to our city to fund so many other things that are so important. I urge you to continue the incentive program for filming in Kansas City. As we have already outlined all the shows, the excellence and the quality that is offered from our city and the stories that we have, we need to continue to share at a high level, and so everybody can hear our voice. Thank you so much for your time. It is greatly appreciated.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Tony Sloan. I'm a theater artist living in the 5th District. I made a choice to live here after living in the Southwest and acting professionally in Utah, Arizona, California, and I chose Kansas City because of its growing arts community. The Office of Culture and Creative Services ensures that the arts have a voice on staff in City Hall. As far as economic development goes, the arts provide $250 million in total economic impact and direct revenue of $18.8 million. It is also, under Cerner and the HCA Midwest Health System, the 3rd largest job creator in our community. I had an opportunity to teach in juvenile detention centers. I remember performing Shakespeare and incarcerated teens asking me, can I act like you do when I get out of here? According to the American for the Arts, communities with arts present have 18% less serious crime and 14% fewer reports of abuse and neglect. If you cut funding for the arts and the Office of Culture and Creative Services, you are not only cutting a major resource of economic development for the city, public safety, a source of tourism and attraction, but a major source of what makes KC a place to live and why I moved here. If I moved here for the arts from the Southwest, imagine how many other artists just like me will move to this city in the next 5 years and make our city grow. I urge everyone in this room to think about a time that they heard a song that they liked or enjoyed public art and how it affected their lives. Please advocate for the arts, also for KC Tenants and zero fare for buses.
Okay. Now, Diane Charity, and then Terrell Walls, thank you, and Carl Stefford. I have just a minute, and just an announcement. I've just gotten a notice that we have to vacate this room about 12:30. So what I'm going to ask is the people speaking, let's hold your comments to 1 minute, unless it is a topic that has not already been addressed today. Thank you very much, because we want to hear everybody. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Diane Charity, and I'm a leader with KC Tenants.
My lifelong passion and stake in the Office of Tenant Advocate has been education for all. Education doesn't stop when you get your first apartment. Matter of fact, that's when it starts. I've been a neighborhood trainer for decades and can testify to the positive results of knowing what you're getting into. That's why we know, and I'm sure you will agree, the Office of Tenant Advocates must be staffed with competent and community-sensitive people who are well-trained in best practices to do community outreach, organize and train renters on their rights, as well as provide tenant education on their roles and responsibilities. Hell, we'll even do the training if you want. Thanks so much for all you've done to see the Office of Tenant Advocate become a reality
Thank
in
you
legislation.
so much.
Now's
Thank
the
you
time to
very
complete
much.
your commitment.
Your time is up.
Of
We'll go on to the
48%.
next person, Terrell Walls. Yeah. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Mr. Mayor, Council, good morning. My name is Terrell Walls, first of all. I'm the current president of the Kansas City Association of Real Estate Brokers, a NAREB affiliate. So certainly I appreciate wholeheartedly the arts. I love the arts. I love what we've done for our pets over at the shelter. I also appreciate your courage and commitment that you demonstrated to KC Tenant. But as the young lady said just a moment ago, it must not stop there. The greatest impact that we can have on Kansas City is increasing black home ownership. There's a tremendous disparity in home ownership between African American Kansas Cityans and white Kansas Cityans. And until that is mitigated, we are going to continue to struggle with rampant crime,
I'm sorry, your time is up.
You said
Well,
I had 10
actually, it
minutes.
is a new topic.
This is a new topic.
It's a new topic, that's right. So you get
It's
another
an old
minute.
topic, but a new topic.
Right, yes.
The surest way to get rid of a abusive landlord is to become a homeowner. Especially when that same rent check will make a mortgage payment and create wealth in our community. The surest path to wealth for African Americans is home ownership. And until we begin to seriously address home ownership in the African American community, these ills are going to plague us, I'm just going to quote this thing that I read a moment ago. Home ownership boosts the educational performance of children. It induces participation in civic and volunteering activity. It improves healthcare outcomes, lowers crime rates,
All right.
and lessens
Thank
welfare dependency.
Thank you very
Y'all,
much.
need
We
homeowners.
appreciate it. Carl Stepford. Marvin Lyman, and remember, unless it's a new topic, you got a minute.
I got you. Understand the idea of arts. I used to be an art teacher, graduated from
Yep.
Kansas City Art Institute. I showed 9 through 12-year-olds how to create books,
Yep.
only to have the school and a nonprofit organization that's supposed to be for kids tell me it's too much money to deal with. Let's go play baseball. If kids learn how to make books, they will sell those books just like Girl Scout cookies,
Yep.
earning money at an early age. So don't cut out the arts. The idea of this area used to have fairyland. There used to be an amusement park.
Yeah.
Used to be a bowling alley. Used to be attractions. There's nothing here no more. I actually, as an artist, believe art and environment should sit at the table at every meeting. So think about a resident artist and think about a resident environmentalist. Because unfortunately, I'm for the 2 bags. I believe I should get an incentive if I have one.
Yeah, hey.
Thank you.
Marvin Lyman, 4th District resident. Business interests in 3rd and the 5th District, new topic, so I will need the full 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right. In 2016, we saw the sale of the Kansas City Plaza for just over $500 million. What that represents is a great transfer of wealth. Unfortunately, the founders of the plaza happen to also be part of the founding of the Urban Land Institute policy that has gone across the nation, and particularly here in Kansas City, disenfranchise black people living on the east side and brown people as well. So when you talk about redlining, you talk about the undervaluing of homes, you're talking about people who have been totally disenfranchised and dispossessed due to systematic racism. We must be clear, it was very strategic. And because of that, our city council, our mayor, our city manager, you must be strategic in addressing these issues. So number one, in 2016, also, there was the ordinance, 75% ordinance passed by the council, and it was called the Lucas Ordinance. With that particular ordinance, it placed a cap on incentives for certain projects. We unfortunately, too many projects were grandfathered and allowed to matriculate through the development process or what have you, and we have not seen the full impact of that 75% ordinance. We need to make sure that City Council is holding the development agencies accountable. I sit on the Planned Industrial Expansion Authority. In the last 5 years, we have approved over $1.5 billion in economic development projects. What that means is we have given tax abatement and other incentives, including sales tax exemption, for those projects to come forward in downtown Kansas City. And we have not done the same cohesive effort to target East Side development, economic empowerment, and enfranchisement for black people and communities of color. The last thing that I will share is that for the project at Armor and Truce, those 4 corners, the city of Kansas City partnered with a private developer. And this is one example, and I voted for this project through PIEA. Why it is important is because the city not only indemnified the PIEA, I know, not only indemnified the PIEA, but I won't shut up. That's rude, Catherine. And I wouldn't do you like that. That's wrong. And so as I was saying, with that particular project, the city indemnified the PIEA, allowed the PIEA, gave the PIEA up to $2 million to acquire the property, to then gift the property to a private developer for redevelopment at Armor and Truce. Now, it's not a bad thing because the area needs it.
Tell me something, what does this have to do with our city budget that we're discussing today? I would suggest that you come, I would suggest that you come to the Plans and Zoning Committee. It meets every Wednesday at 1:30. Contact the chair, Mr. Lee Barnes, Councilman Barnes, and ask to be on the agenda. I think you have important things to say, but they do not apply immediately to this budget, and we have 15 more pages of people who want to talk about things that deal with this budget. Thank you for your comments.
So to answer your question, the reason it applies because the policy that you are crafting for this budget, it's very important that you are very strategic about making sure that you are righting the wrongs that have been committed against black people for the last 100
your
years.
2 minutes
and that you
are
also
up.
Fund
Your
like you have not funded
2 minutes are
the tenant rights.
We will now
you
go
also
to
need to fund.
Ashley
You also need to
Sandowski.
fund the
And then there
$75
will
million
be Stanley
housing trust
Braun
fund.
Morgan.
Thank you.
And then there will be Leslie Libgens. So Ashley Sadowski. Ashley Sadowski. And then Stanley Morgan, and then Leslie Libgens, it looks like.
Hi, my name is Ashley Sadowski. I'm with the 6th District. I am an architect.
Please, folks, we have all been very respectful today of one another. Let's continue that. Thank you.
It's hard to follow. I'm an architect and urban planner. There's a culture that I've noticed in the city and in our city and our community development efforts that I've seen for the past few years as a little disturbing. And one of the things that I've noticed is that as a city, we're very good at planning. We put a lot of money into design. I can speak to that personally. But we have issues with advocating and executing. And recently, with KC Tenants, they have done a lot of work on the advocacy campaign, and the city in general has supported them, which is great. But what is not happening, and is what I've seen number of times with other community development efforts and other public policy efforts, including the housing policy that is enacted for the next 5 years, is the lack of understanding of where the execution is going. And so what I'm seeing is that there's been a tremendous amount of effort by the KC Tenants and people who have spent a lot of their personal resources and time to be here and to be at their meetings every Saturday and to craft this policy, to only see it not be executed. So what I would ask is that as a city, can we please change the culture so that we are actually executing the things that we believe in? And I would also advocate that beyond this year's budget, can we please think about how we manage our assets from a budgetary standpoint over the next, let's say, 5 years, because that's the length of the housing policy. So let's look at how we can, it has over 200 action items on there, and I'm not quite clear in the next year where those things are going. And to me, step one is right here, step one. So if we can't achieve step one, then I'm not clear on how we're going to get there in the next 5 years, both on housing or any infrastructure or any of the other things. So thank you for my time.
Thank you. Stanley Morgan. Is Mr. Morgan here? Okay. Oh, okay. Leslie Libgens. I don't know if those are G's or B's. Liggans maybe, or Libb, not here. Okay, Godfrey Riddle, okay. Bill Drummond. Mr. Drummond, please, I know and I love you, but please keep to the 1 minute.
Actually, I have a new topic, so
Of course you do.
Yes, I do. First off, thank you for
Yeah.
your patience.
Yeah.
This is the biggest turnout we've ever had in a budget meeting, period, and I really appreciate you accommodating us.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak to the tree as Jose Faust spoke about the tree, and public safety and public health. They're all intertwined here. Public health. If we do not fund our city public health assets, and that would be Children's Mercy, the City Health Department, fully fund the No Violence Initiative, which is the only thing right now, the best chance we have of addressing both systematic violence in our neighborhoods and the challenges of violent crime, is the No Violence KC Initiative through the Health Department. That needs to be not just funded, it needs to be more than funded. Second to that, Health Department also needs to be completely funded, and I would even promote that you all exceed your funding that you are considering for the Health Department. Why? Because if one epidemic occurs in this city, I don't like to talk about this, and I am not a disaster person, but if one epidemic of a health-related nature occurs in this city, we are going to be ruined. The consequences of a health-related epidemic are going to far, far outrank any other kind of disaster that we could ever imagine. And I am talking about earthquakes, tornadoes, terrorist acts. A health epidemic will ruin this city. So I need you to fully fund the health department in all ways possible, and I thank you for that. Safety. Let's talk about safety. In our neighborhoods, right now, safety is on the backs of our police.
Okay.
I'm almost finished.
No, I'm sorry, but we have like 15 pages still to go.
I will see you all next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. Susan Brune, Michael Gallagher, and Mark Porter. No, he's a no. Just Susan Broke.
So this is a new topic of, I respect the police force, but cutting back on the police force and reinforcing that money with the arts and business for rehabilitation purposes. So I'm from Folker neighborhood. I'm a transplant from Iowa 25 years ago. I love Iowa, but I came here for the arts and entrepreneurship. I have a nonprofit called Gilded where we help solo entrepreneurs. Solo entrepreneurs in the U.S. make up 70% of U.S. businesses. Though since 1988, their salaries have been on a downward trend according to the IRS. So what I want to talk about is 4 things. First, Casey SourceLink is the Training and Human Resources Department of solo entrepreneurs. And solo entrepreneurs is filmmakers and artists as well. And I'm an artist as well as an entrepreneur and a nonprofit founder. So we need services like Casey SourceLink. In 2019, they had 9,500 interactions and started 114 businesses. They also had Global Entrepreneur Week, which had 200 sessions and 6,000 attendees. Like film initiatives, Casey SourceLink and Casey BizCare, they are an investment in the city that pay for a lot of services. Casey BizCare just recently went on the chopping block yesterday. And this is an office that helps navigate the city. So you are defeating citizens from navigating your services. Also, they are started diversity inclusion programs as well. Third, the culture office gives gives arts a voice in the mayor's office, and that is needed with the arts growing and with more and more dollars coming from the arts. We need ways to make sure that investment is happening correctly. And then fourth and last is...
I'm sorry, but your time is up.
Okay, just one last statement. So...
do you just have a topic?
Okay. Yes, I do. Arts Asylum. Arts Asylum. The money from Arts Asylum's teens program came from
the arts
city
are
budget.
well covered. Thank you.
Okay.
Michael Gallagher and then Mark Porter. Is Michael Gallagher still here? Mark Porter. Is Mark Porter still here? Heidi Van. Then somebody Gafford and Ed Lindenberg. Are any of these people here? Okay. I think Heidi's here and she would be first, and then you will be next.
Thank you. I'm Heidi Van, and I have a business in the 4th District, and I'm here to support the arts, but one of the things that I haven't heard a lot about is the arts tech funding, and that takes kids off the streets who have had encounters with the juvenile justice system and on the way to find their path to creativity and engaging in arts entrepreneurship. I used to work for Sentenced to the Arts. I worked for Arts in Prison and Arts Tech to provide theater workshops for at-risk and adjudicated youth, and I have seen the impact arts programming has on social behaviors, self-esteem, and recidivism rates. So please keep Arts Tech. Thank you.
Thank you. Please identify yourself and then speak.
My name is Ed Linneber. I'm from Northland Neighborhoods. I just wanted to come and say thank you for the support we've received last year and what's in the budget this year. We thank you. We look forward to partnering more. And if we can be of help anyway in the Northland, please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then Renee Marshall. Is that person still here? Renee Marshall? Great. And after Renee, if they're here, will be Bennett Dibben and Janet Moss Awaken.
My name is Renee Marshall, and something that I haven't heard much about is the school system, the schools in Kansas City. As we know, we need to invest in our children because if we don't invest in them now, we will pay for them later. Where there is poverty, there is crime, and so that's how you kind of get into that. But I'm also a petitioner for Medicaid expansion. Medicaid expansion is a program that we have been paying for already, although many of our Missourians are being kicked off. 90,000 children were kicked off of Medicaid because their parents made too much. Realistically, you can't make too much making $9 an hour. So when that is put on the ballot, which it will be, either in August or November, make sure you vote for that. And also, as a young person, is there anything I can do to help us bridge the gap between our older residents and younger residents in order to make this city much better? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bennett Dibben. And then Janet Moss Awaken. And then somebody, well, I can't read that, so I'll wait a minute. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Bennett Dibben. I'm from the 2nd District, and the reason I'm here is I'm not only a tenant, but I'm also an ally and an advocate for what the Tenants Bill of Rights is. And when you guys passed it back in December, for some reason, you gave $44 million to Waddell and Reed to move over here. I think that was a waste of money when that money could have gone to the Tenants Bill of Rights and some of this other stuff that we're talking about here. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Janet Moss Awaken. Janet, not here. LaDonna Gouda, not here. Richie Lynn. Are you Richie Lynn?
I think she's LaDonna.
Oh. LaDonna Gooden?
Right here.
Okay.
Hi, I'm LaDonna Gooden. I'm not sure what district I'm in, so.
That's okay.
A 4, okay. I just want to speak about small business and entrepreneurs here in Kansas City. I know it's been a topic already. 70% of small businesses, small businesses account for 70% of job creation. I think I want to talk about Kansas City in particular. The average business for a woman-owned business makes $8,000 a year. That's not a living wage. Kansas City is 49 out of 50 metropolitan areas for African American business owners. I think if you're talking about equity and inclusion and really making Kansas City the most entrepreneurial city, more resources, not less, need to be going to entrepreneurs and small business owners. I would make the case for that. I understand there are a lot of priorities, and I wish you wisdom as you make those choices. But as you think about really making this a city on the move, you really have to think about resources that will benefit all.
Thank you. Richie Lynn, and then James Shelby and Tom Love. Richie? Nope, going once, going twice. James Shelby? Is James Shelby here? No. Tom Love? James Shelby.
Or Gaddafi, better. This is a new subject.
Okay, of course.
Well, of course it is.
Of course it is.
I only need 5 minutes, but I'll settle for 2. Okay. No. I recently just incorporated a Hug Your Hood thing, and I'm finna help change the culture of Kansas City, the violence, the trash, the everything. I'm recruiting other people like me. I went to prison for multiple murders. I figured my way out. I went from Kansas City. Then I got shot 17 times after I got out, coming out of St. Mary's Honor Center in St. Louis. And then I went back after I became financially embarrassed. I went re-enlisted from Kansas City, and I just got through doing 22 years. Now I'm here to help. Those who are closer to the problem is closer to the solution. I've been the problem. I am the solution. So now I'm recruiting him and other people like him. I don't know why I point him out. And other people like him. But no, I'm recruiting other people like me who want to do something, who have been the problem. We help break the system, and we're the only people who can fix it. I'm not asking for anything. I'm recruiting people, and we're going to do it. We're going to get this couch and stuff up. I'm going to get this couch and stuff up personally today or tomorrow. I'm going to figure out I'm going to get something. I don't get no funding, so I don't do nothing. Yeah. Now, all I'm saying is look for me. We coming. We here. We on the map. We going to make stuff happen. We know who the shooters are. We know we're not sending nobody to jail now. I'm not the police. But, you know what I'm saying? I help people call me, and we resolve problems and issues. We don't talk about it. We be about it. Now, The only other thing I do have to say, since I got this shirt on, is that we, KC Tenants shouldn't have to ask for no money. Y'all should be throwing money at us to look out for the tenants of Kansas City. Y'all need us.
The next person is Tom Love, and then Talitha. Is Tom Love here? Tom Love? Talitha? She's gone. Sean Ackerson, and then Alonzo Theron. That's a Taylor? Okay. Tavar. All right, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sean Ackerson, resident
That's okay.
and representative of the Southtown Council, Brookside Business Association, and Troost Avenue District. Three quick things. One, I think that hadn't been talked enough about is the infrastructure. I just want to encourage, as we hear the discussion about small business, to remember how important the infrastructure is to our small businesses. Those costs that don't get resolved are getting passed on to the owners, to the tenants, and we continue to see those prices rise, making it harder and harder to have small businesses in Kansas City. So we appreciate addressing those issues as part of the budget. The other is public safety. We hear very, very often that one of the challenges to business and life in Kansas City is public safety. We appreciate the addressing that in the budget. We'd love to see the continued partnerships with other agencies and the opportunities to find those grants that will not only take money out of the city budget, but will use the federal funds to continue to improve the force. And then last, I won't repeat the issue. There's been a lot of discussion about the transit, whether it's an opportunity to make that free, whether it's an opportunity to reduce those costs so we can increase ridership. The other component of that is please, please, please make sure we're addressing the public safety. Before living in Kansas City, moving here 22 years ago, lived in the Chicago area, had an incredibly efficient transit system. It was fantastic, but a key to that is public safety. Let's make sure we're keeping our people that need that as a resource, that choose that as a resource, safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tevron, Ease Redwood. Ezzy Redwood. Here he is. Okay, and then it's Edward Pennington, if he's still here. And then Lauren Thompson, and then Renee Barty. So, Ezzy.
Cool. So
you just introduce yourself and then.
Oh, thank you.
Go from there.
We're building a rapport here.
Yeah.
So my name's Ezzy Redwood, 4th District. We have businesses in several districts, though I cover most of the districts. And I represent the entrepreneurs in Kansas City, which cover all of the districts. For me, it was important not to make a grandstand or anything, but to represent the 65 entrepreneurs and small business owners that came out this morning. I know a lot of them had to leave, but I really appreciate that. We're mobilizing, we're activating. It sounds like we have a lot to talk about with some of the other groups here. The one thing I wanted to point to is, what would we do as a city if a corporation came to us and said, hey, we want to increase and grow your workforce, and how many of them are employed, by 60%. And that is essentially what's happening for the small business community, where we're providing 60% of the job growth, but whereas that corporation would have gotten hundreds of millions of dollars in incentives and tax packages, we're doing it for free, and all we ask is for $2 million to help us do that better. Now, there's two quick points on that. One is the $400,000 we got last year, we turned into $5 million in revenue for the city in this past budget. The $2 million will go to $20 million, so it's something that even in the same budget cycle pays for itself. The second thing that I'd point out is that I think that there's never to me not enough money. I think that the money is where we prioritize. And for me, seeing the $40 million increase surplus in the budget and for the general fund, not for, the general fund, and getting that reallocated everywhere but for the people who are paying into those tax buckets, to us, that's unacceptable. Thank you.
Okay. Renee Barty? Lauren Thompson? Okay, please, go ahead.
My name is Edward Pennington, and I've recently been released from incarceration. And I just want to say that you have a lot of ex-felons living in Kansas City, and we as a group of strong men, we know the problems that's out here, and we can address the problems if we are given an opportunity to. And there's going to take some funding too, but we definitely need the city council's backing, with this. And I have been shown a lot of assistance since I've been released. I didn't expect for people to have open arms for me when I returned, because I've been gone for a while, armed robbery, drugs, So I know the problem. Like Duffy said, I am the problem and I am the solution. So I'm putting myself out here asking for help so we can organize this. It's Gaddafi, a couple of other brothers that's been released this year, and they are dedicated brothers into trying to clean up what we started and left, and our youth has now picked up, and it's getting worse. So we want to try to clean that up. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Lauren Thompson.
Hi, I have one new topic and one old. I think I need more than a minute, but I can get it under 2. Lauren Thompson, I live and work in the West Side neighborhood in 4th District, and I'm asking for a reduce in the cuts made to the arts and an increase in enforcement funding for the short-term rental ordinance. So first, that Office of Culture and Creative Services, I think many would agree that there's changes that need to be made to that office, but cutting it would be a disservice to our city. All of us here that love the arts in Kansas City, it's because it's available and accessible, and this office has the capability and potential to further the work to democratize the arts in our community. That leads me to the Neighborhood Tourism Development Fund, which is expected to decrease its available funds, largely attributed to the decrease in revenue from the hotel tax. So the hotel and motel tax is projected to decrease by 1.1 million, while restaurant taxes are projected to increase by 2.2 million, and there's a disconnect there that needs to be addressed. The city is incentivizing the construction of more hotels, but our hotel tax revenue is dropping because of excessive Airbnb rentals. The Development Management Division says its major accomplishment is the adoption of short-term rental regulations. But what good are these regulations if they're not adequately funded to be enforced? Airbnb exacerbates the affordable housing problem and the gentrification of our neighborhoods, turning homes into investments for speculators and depriving the city of units that could be rented or owned long-term. For a small investment in the Development Management Division and the enforcement of the existing STR ordinance, the city can generate much more revenue and make improvements in affordable housing and stabilizing neighborhoods. This is a win-win situation and should be a priority in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Then Renee Barty, and then Teresa Perry. Renee, are you here? I guess not. Teresa Perry.
Good morning. I think they done said, I'm Teresa Perry, and I think they done said about almost everything. I don't know if anybody addressed homelessness because I had to be on the outside, but I just wanted to say with everything that's been said today, I just hope we all can work together because I see a lot of people here today, but I don't see you down at City Hall, all that, and I know some people can't make it. But the only way I believe we're going to get something done, we all going to have to work together. I keep saying that. So we all need to work together. I hope we all also assist in far as addressing homelessness. They talked about crime, everything else. And then I just pray we all can work together and stop the disrespect because Quentin is the mayor now. I'm sorry. That's 3 personalities.
Okay, thank you. Then we have Jim Nunley, and then I Young, and then Kristen Wood.
We got like 10 more pages.
Oh, no, we're on 26, and we're going to 31, plus whoever isn't on a list and wants to speak.
New topic. My name is Jim Nunley. I've been in this community 50 years. I have lived in the 5th District. I know every council person that's been elected, as well as not elected, as well as a person who can bring people together. So I bring to you a different kind of a message today, and that's on behalf of people who are elderizing like me. The system has not worked very well for people over 65. It's a time when we talk about diabetes, but when we get to diabetes, we're almost at a point where we're believing that maybe we ought to sit down, and then somebody else comes out and says, why don't you walk more and be active? So I took it up on myself with the assistance of one of the council members sitting beside you, Catherine, and we decided to mobilize this community to get ready for the coming tornado that's going to be in cost containment in healthcare. And so we have mobilized older people over 65 to get ready to defend themselves against this tornado. So rather than ask them to go out and, and get all involved, we've asked them to be active. And because activity still is a good ointment for elderizing. And so what I want you to do, council, is to give us some seed money where that we can begin to continue to invest in these people, because the death rate is going to go up, the people are going to be inside and sicker, and most of important, you're going to be saddled with a cost that you didn't intend to have, that you made at a time, and it's top. One more thing I will say to you, in our time, we have been in contact with over 10,000 people, and it's been at the community's expense, and I thank you. Please give me
Jim,
that, will you? Huh?
We'll talk afterwards.
Thank you.
Mr. Ms. Young, how about Kristen Wood?
Young's here.
Okay, Mr. Wood, and then,
I'm not Wood, I'm Young.
oh, you're young, okay, come up.
Yeah.
And
What's up?
please,
Everybody say what? Everybody say no? Okay, just check and see if we're all here. So my name is AY, founder of the Battery Tour. I'm son to Yolanda Young, Missouri Rep, District 22. I'm son to Alan Young, Ivanhoe Neighborhood Association founder. I just found out that our city is going to spend $200,000 remodeling the Lakeside, what is it, community room? Or Lakeside Conference Room. Remodeling, $200,000 remodeling. When I found this out, I literally felt betrayed by my city, upset, sad, stumped on. If you think about it this way, we're spending $200,000 in a conference room, which is the exact same amount that we're spending on our small businesses and our entrepreneurs. So I guess we're the value of a conference room. One more thing. Next session, I think that we should pick a room that doesn't say 77 people capacity on the door.
good.
And
good
then two,
suggestion.
more than one speaker, and I'd be really happy to donate Battery Tour renewable energy technology, to donate a full sound system powered by renewable energy, microphones, so people can be heard. And I will do that for free because I'm an artist, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a sustainability advocate. I'm not a conference room.
Okay, thank you.
One last thing before I roll. Quentin just got back by the United Nations, so I hope that we can finally have a conversation in person. I think it's about time. Yeah.
Okay. Kristen Wood, and then after Kristen Wood, Andy Meyer.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Kristen Wood. I am a resident of the 2nd District, but I also work for Goodwill of Western Missouri and Eastern Kansas. We are an employer and a service provider. We employ more than 500 people across the Kansas City metropolitan area and serve over 3,500 people that are chronically under and unemployed here in the area. A lot of the folks that Goodwill serves are overcoming barriers such as different abilities, release from the criminal justice system, lack of transportation. And so I'm here to express our support for the Zero Fare Transit. Thank you so much for the funding that you have already proposed in the budget, and I urge you to maintain that support throughout this process so that the city, in partnership with Ride KC and other private funders, can overcome this transportation barrier for people that are just trying to get to work. Thank you.
Okay. And Jonathan Davis, go ahead.
I'm Andy Meyer. Aloha kakahiako kako o Andy Meyer ko uinoa. My name is Andy Meyer, and good morning to everybody. That is not a foreign language. That is the Hawaiian language, just in case anybody was wondering. I'm pleased to be here. Thank you for sitting so patiently and listening to all the concerns of all of our very passionate and engaged citizens. I am a mother of 2, and I'm trying to run my own business, but I have a real hard time due to a lot of lack of support societally, structurally. I just want to make the point that we've had a lot of support for the arts in Kansas City, but no one has mentioned the importance of really looking at that through the eyes of communities of color. In Kansas City, there are only 4 arts organizations run by people of color. The longest running one was Jackie Gafford, who was here and had to leave right before her name was called, I think. And she's only been able to produce every maybe 3 years. There's also the Black Repertory Theater of Kansas City, Melting Pot Kansas City, and then my company, Tradewin Arts. And it's no coincidence that we have not been able to get off the ground until about 2014. In other cities, companies have run for 40 years. So the emphasis on the arts has really helped our access. And I'm sure I don't have to tell many of you in this room what the importance of seeing your own story up there on the screen, on the stage, hearing it told by our own communities. So in your consideration of the formation of your budget when it comes to the arts and filmmaking, please consider that most of the funding historically has gone to organizations that have tremendous historical privilege. And we are really lacking in that attention and support. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Jan Helene Davis, and then after that, Faye Ferrando, and then Christopher, I can't read the last name, but I'll.
Okay, I'm going to have to read because you all know me and you know I talk too much. So
Okay,
today
you can
I want to talk
identify
to you.
yourself
Jean
first,
Helene
though.
Davis. Today I want to talk to you about accountability by the city departments. I think there are some problems with accountability. I know in every department budget you build in for errors, but at my house, I was just talking with one of the representatives of one of the departments, and I'm kind of giving up the ghost because the damage done to my house, which was fixed improperly, is going to cost too much money for me to have to worry about, I think, to refix. And I think in the best interest of the city, it's just time to say, you did it wrong, you messed up entirely, and you fixed it wrong, and at what point can I make the city do their jobs right? We can't, because they hire people that are not accountable. They don't leave them to attack their insurance to make them accountable. So at some point, you just have to let go. The second thing I want to talk about is funding outside sources who are not accountable. And I'm going to give you an example. The city funds spay and neuter to give low-income people of which I'm one because I'm living on Social Security, money to pay for their shots for the animals. Well, I took my animals in, and lo and behold, because I had to take them someplace else for their bath and brush, found out they weren't given all their shots. Went back to spay and neuter, was only given 1 week to come back and get the appropriate shots, and when I showed up for after a week, they wanted to charge me again, or said they'll give them the shots if I neuter my dog then, or said that they would give me the entire round of shots 2 months early, which would put me out of compliance with the Kansas City, Missouri licensing, because you have to go from April to whatever. I don't think this is acceptable, and they asked me not to come back, which they have a right to do, but they only offered me a $3 refund for something they wanted me to charge me $18 for. So where's the other 15 bucks? It sits in the city coffers because you fund it. I would just also like to say thank you to some of the departments that are here today. John Woods is here from Neighborhoods, Terry Leeds is here from Water, Teresa's here from Parks and Rec, and we are getting funds for the MLK Park.
Thank you so much. Next person is Faye Ferrando. And then after that, if they're here, is Christopher Stayer, I think.
Good morning. Hi. This is a new topic. I didn't have anything planned. They asked me if I was going to speak, and I said, yeah, why not? Because this is on self-empowerment, love, and action. Bonjour, Madam Catherine. How's Philip? So,
Great, thank you.
Great.
Doing well in D.C.
Yay. I just have challenged myself to love myself and do what my spirit tells me to do and speak out for love. So I'm leading with love. I love y'all. I feel the love and the anxiety. But I think together we can really make Kansas City fantabulous. Another thing, Mr. Mayor, when you were on the campaign running, and we talked about that, they locked up Central's track. The city locked it up for the neighborhood. We couldn't go unless we called and had them open it up. Has that changed? I moved, so I'm not in walking distance. It hasn't changed? That's not right.
Has not changed.
What? It's not going to change?
No, it has not changed.
Will it change? It needs to change. It's a public place. Don't we pay taxes for that?
Yeah, but that's the school district.
It's a school district owned.
We put PIAC into it. Your point's taken.
Oh,
Your
okay.
point's taken, though.
Yay.
Continue.
Points taken. Okay, so challenge yourself to be the best you, and I love you, and you're going to see more of me. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Christopher Stayer. If not, then Jennifer Rowe Folk.
I had 30 seconds left. I just love that elderizing. I love that. And I went to school with Janelle.
Yeah, please introduce yourself, Jennifer. And then after her is another Jennifer Centaro, maybe. No, Jennifer Stewart.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Rowe. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the Director of Operations at Folk Alliance International. We're headquartered in the Crossroad District of Kansas City. We moved here from Memphis, Tennessee in 2013, in part because we had a 5-year contract to produce our international conference at the Westin, which, by the way, has a yearly estimated economic impact of $5 million, according to Visit KC, and in part because of how the city embraced our organization. The move to Kansas City provided a stable home base and opportunity for strategic investments and operations. We have literally doubled in size and income and started with a staff of 2 full-time employees, and now we have 9 looking to hire a 10th employee. When we moved here, it was clear that Kansas City was on the verge of a cultural renaissance, which we are proud to be a part of, along with many other organizations and people in this room. We have benefited immensely with the creation of the Office of Culture and Creative Services. This office has been crucial in helping our organization make connections and partnerships in the community. This office, along with the film office, are key to continued cultural development in our city. Maintaining the OCCS provides a voice in the City Hall during critical discussions around all parts of community development. It is also important to note the Culture Office's standard for cities our size with a cultural sector plan for our office to oversee. The cultural renaissance is not done in this city, and we have continued opportunities for growth and expanded involvement, but we need the cities, we need your help and support in order to maintain success. Please don't halter this. Please do not cut key arts funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Then Jennifer Stewart, and after her, Derek Kinstead and Larkin Sanders.
Yes, Jennifer Seward from District 4, and I understand you have a difficult job, and I thank you for your time, energy, and efforts, as well as those who have spoken here today. I am a gritty actor, entrepreneur, filmmaker, producer, and I am a representative of Keep KC Filming, which has collected over 28,000 petition signatures so far in favor of protecting the Kansas City Film Office and Film Incentive Program from losing its city funding. Thank you for reconsidering your support for the KC film industry that has a profoundly exponential economic and spiritual impact. Some follow-up questions regarding the updated budget proposal tweeted yesterday. If the KC Film Office receives $200,000 from Visit KC appropriation, then it appears, Mayor, you are asking us to pay for ourselves because KC Film is a division of Visit KC. It also ends the incentive program as we know it. The current program is a city ordinance passed unanimously in 2016, whose budget line item has been within our city. Our materials, brochure, and materials. I have one sentence left, please. Our materials, brochure, and industry ads promoting the incentive will suddenly be out of date. Can we save the program in the city? And if so, with Office of Cultural and Creative Services cut, who can administer it at the city? We look forward to seeing how you answer these questions in the upcoming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Derek Kinnest, is he here? Derek? If not, Larkin Sanders. How about Richard Herdig? Or Karen Fenero? Oh, I'm
there
sorry.
There we go.
All right, Richard.
Richard Herdig, how are you today? Lovely rec center. The staff are great.
They are.
Northwark Traffic Way, it's on page 405. And the Chateau fountains are great. Continue supporting that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Karen Fenaroli had to leave. Joe Carey. Joe Carey? Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Joe Carey, District 5. I'm going to go ahead and keep this real short because that's a film-related thing. I was here I was at the budget meeting last week, and I talked about how we lost filming of a Hulu pilot called Kansas City to Atlanta, and we lost the Ozarks to Atlanta. I was informed that season 4 of season 4 of Fargo takes place in Kansas City, and it did not go to Atlanta, luckily. It went to Chicago.
Yeah.
So we need to increase the funding, keep it attractive for programs to come, or for producers to come to Kansas City. Within a 20-minute drive of here, we've got farmlands, we've got inner cities, we've got the West Bottoms, which look like the 30s. We've got literally everything but an ocean within a 20-minute drive of here, and that's extremely attractive to producers. So, bye.
Okay, and then Benita Fain. Please come forward, and that is all on our list. So after that, if people can line up that are not on the list but wish to make comments.
say so. Good afternoon. Thank you for staying to hear what I have
Yes,
to say.
here's the deal, same rules, 1 minute.
I do have a new topic.
No.
My name is Vanita Fain Sifri, and I'm a resident of the 5th District. My entire adult career has been dedicated to providing housing in some form or fashion to the residents of Kansas City. I'm here today to advocate for affordable home ownership, especially in the Black community. What we do know is that the majority of students in the Kansas City, Missouri School District are Black. They are suffering from low test scores. There's a lot of transients there in the school district. They have low attendance rates, and that affects how children do in school. Home ownership, and that would be houses that are less than $200,000, would help to increase that stability, improve test scores, and prevent people from being evicted and increase neighborhood stability.
Thank you so much.
I understand that there is
So
a
much.
housing
Thank you
trust
very
fund,
much
and
for
I'm here
your
to just
time.
ask the council to please consider funding the housing trust fund for affordable housing.
Thank you so much. Next person. I will say we're losing some of our council because they have other appointments, but those of us who can will remain and listen. And so please identify yourself, what district you're from if you know it, and 1 minute.
Good morning. My name is Shanice Taylor, and I live in the 3rd District.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also a leader with KC Tenants.
Great.
And I'm also a social service provider. One of my jobs is to provide community resources to my clients to meet their needs and goals. And one of the biggest barriers that I see is housing. For example, I have a pregnant woman who is living in her car because she can't find housing. I also have a client who is living in her hotel due to an unlawful eviction. If we have an office of the tenant advocate, this will allow me to do my job more effectively, and it will also prevent me from burning out. And I think I'm too young to be feeling like that right now. And it will also, we will also have a centralized location to where my client can have her answers, have her questions answered directly, rather than bouncing to different services within the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, please indicate your name, what district you live in, and 1 minute for comments.
Greetings. Thank you for allowing us to speak. My name is Adenike Aminra, also known as Nuta. I am an urban farmer. I support the Chapter 88 312. I'm in the 3rd District. I wanted to share what does community policing look like? To empower and organize the existing block captains, neighborhood watch committees, and community centers to be reporting centers and manage minor disputes. Let's reinvigorate our own tribal councils of elders who will reflect our own cultural mores. Let's establish more block-safe houses, then open community centers, churches, schools as reporting centers. I'm already made to feel like a refugee in the United States as a person of African descent. Our youth are profiled as potential suspects when they go down to the plaza or to Westport, just like walking down the street in our own neighborhoods, let alone driving in a segregated area.
Thank you very much for your comments. Next person, please.
Hello. My name is James Owens. I'm a proud constituent of the Mighty Third, and I'm a leader with KC Tenants. It's not always mold, non-working appliances, or non-working heat that is the problem. We need protection from predatory landlords that take advantage of sometimes desperate situations and use those situations to bully us, harass us, and threaten us with eviction if we stand up for our rights. We need to see you take leadership on our issues. If you could spend $1.4 million on body camera replacement that has no value in credibility, since they can be turned off at any time by the person wearing them, you can find 1.2 to do the citizens' work with credibility. If you can afford to lose $838,000 on a parking garage that has no benefit to Cage, Chloe, and I, then you can certainly find funds for an office of the tenant advocacy that would bring a meaningful change and benefit to us. If you can find $6.5 million to spend on golf course operations, you can certainly find $1.2 million to fund an office that would benefit 48% of Kansas City residents.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next person.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, members of the council, Emmett Pearson, community builders of Kansas City.
Yeah.
Councilman, I'm only saying this because I want you all to know it's so hard to do economic development on the east side, east of Prospect. When we spend 6 months to work with someone from out of town to bring a movie studio, when I say studio, where it's animation, sound, and editing to the Swope campus, and then we get past the state disallowing of the tax credits there, and then my fair city that's always had our back makes an announcement they're going to cut the budget.
Right.
That just killed us.
Yeah.
So 20 jobs plus 20,000 square feet in a niche market that African Americans on the east side will never have an opportunity to really understand that industry. I just had to make that known to you all. Ordinance 18721, good start, not enough. We need to look at the general revenue fund at some point, and that's it. And it'd be nice for you all to take a look at funding community builders at some point. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, please. 1 minute.
To all parties involved, I'm Hampton, Willie Hampton. My concern, and I don't know if it's in the budget or not, but I've been buying and selling houses ever since '68. I bought a house the other day and had it in my name for about 15 days, and I got a bill for $63. I never had the water turn on, but why do I get a bill for $63? I'd like for somebody to look into that and see what's the problem there. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good afternoon, you guys. We're just gonna do it together. We're gonna run these 2 minutes together real fast.
Okay, I'm sorry, tell us your name,
Derek
please.
Caldwell, 3rd, 40th, and 40s.
Yeah.
My name is Derek Caldwell. I'm a leader with KC Tenants. My wife, Tiana Caldwell, was sick with cancer for the 2nd time, and in the middle of treatment, our landlord evicted us. We were drowning in debt due to her cost of her care, and she was severely ill. The only landlord that would rented us a home that flooded with sewage and feces the first day that we took showers in the house. We couldn't reach our property owners for a week. We called the health department, who deemed the property uninhabitable. But all they did was serve us to be displaced. We called the health department, and they didn't tell us anything for real. It was like we came out of it was like $4,000 for us. For nothing. Bottom line is that we need a tenant. We need a tenant bill of rights. We need that help.
Thank you. All right, thanks.
Rhonda Eisenhower. I'm here because of...
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Rhonda.
Just because of people sitting down. Go ahead.
Eisenhower.
Great.
I want to talk about grocery stores and stores giving food to food pantries, which makes them look bad, and the need for CDC to be called at some point. So therefore, those grocery stores that give the food to the food pantries at the very last moment before it expires, and sometimes you'll find them on the reduced rack for after expiration. Not a good idea to allow it. I have been someone who has received food poisoning. I also have recently drank some milk from a grocery store, and it had cold and something warm inside that milk. That warm thing turns into a virus, turned also into some other things that cause holes in my body.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Name and then 1 minute.
Okay. Andrea Ingram. I live in the 5th District.
Yep.
I vote in every election.
Yep.
And I just want to see some accountability going on for what's being done in prioritization. what is this with zero fare? I'm not for that. I pay my taxes, and I'm not paying for every Tom, Dick, and Harry to ride on the bus all day because they have nowhere else to go. But we also need accountability for when you have someone who is homeless. They need a place where they can go shower. They need a place where they can go wash their clothes that is close. So we need to start taking care of each other, but don't put somebody else on the bus to ride all day, because they have nowhere and nothing else to do. That's not safe for those who are riding. And then also, as far as for police officers, we need more, but we need to see them running around so they can stop some situations before they happen.
Okay, thank you so much. Next person, name please.
Hello, my name is Matthew Marcus, KCMO resident of the 4th District, and appreciate you all listening. I represent an organization called Startland, and I want to tell you a story. In 2016, The Economist, an international publication and media company, reached out and said, hey, are you available to speak on a show that we're doing? I said, tell me more. They said, we're doing a show on the startup and the new economy. And they said, we're going to the Norwegian region, we're going to Shanghai, and we're going to Kansas City. I said, Kansas City? You want to go to the Valley for something like this? They said, no, we're going to Kansas City because there's something going on there. They came, they filmed the show, and while they were packing up their car, the filmographer said to me, I got to tell you something. I've been all around the world, and I filmed stuff everywhere. I've been to every city, and there is something going on in Kansas City. I can feel the energy. It's palpable, right? And here's the thing about entrepreneurship. It touches everybody's lives. If I ask people to raise their hands, whether they own or run a small business, whether they work at one or whether they shop at one, all hands go up. It touches everybody's lives. So I urge you to rethink the cuts and give more money to entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And maybe final person, if people would sit down, we can hear from the final person. If they want to leave from the side, please.
Thank you for letting me speak again. I just wanted to...
I'm sorry. Haven't you spoken before?
I had something else I would like to share.
Well, I'm sorry. Why don't you send the mayor's office an email and he will share it with all of us. Thank you, though.
3rd District. I've shared it, so I'll text you.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else who has not spoken who would like to come and speak? If not, I appreciate you all attending today. We do need to vacate the room for another event. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, brother. There you go.